But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With the rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. They were too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please! Please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1,
self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. This show's live. We do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And what is it we do exactly? Well, it's too much to explain. Let me sum up. We talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about, which of course are aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. And tonight, we are going to that upside down. As they said in the chat here as we started, where we're going, we don't need rails. And of course, well, that's part of what Troubled Minds is all about. Just not really science. This is more philosophy, a little mix of both. And sort of that Arthur C. Clarke quote about how, science is basically magic and vice versa. It just depends on your knowledge level when these things come to pass. And that's what this show's about. This show's about sort of where science sort of meets magic, and why there's a difference, and all the rest of that stuff. There's a ton of theories that are out there, theoretical stuff that's fantastic and fun to talk about. So that's what we do, and that's what part of this show is. And again, there's so many things that we do on this show that you can't really boil it down to just a quick intro, but that's probably about as close as we're going to get without, just doing a whole damn show about it. So that's what we'll do. But before we do that, a few things. As always, I do not have any inside sources, as you know. That's just the way it goes. I'm just me. I'm reading news cycles. I'm becoming an expert in propaganda. Well, that's probably generous to say, but can reading a lot of something make you an expert? I don't know. I guess that's a whole question for a whole nother day. But let's just say I know my way around a news cycle or two, and part of the reason I do that is because of that propaganda aspect, because of the way everything works, the way that it's constant brainwash all the damn time, and trying to figure out what actually is going on in the world we live in. And that's what that's about. That's why we do this. That's why we consider these things. And no inside sources, just news cycles and you. And like I always say, the secret weapon of this show is you, is the caller, is the listener, the community, the people that get together and put our minds together and come up with, well, new possibilities. And tonight, well, we're going to be full of new possibilities. So if you want to be part of the show tonight and part of that secret weapon crew, you know what to do. Give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we'll put you on the show. And you could also join the Discord at troubledminds.org. That's the official website. And that's what's going on. That's what's happening. We also have a Discord, of course, is a chat client. It's a voice client. It's a place you can share links and meet people and hang out. And it's a pretty fantastic thing. Like I always say, we use it quite a lot on this show to not just have guests and have callers and just really use it to meet people, to hang out, to share links, to share photographs, to do all that stuff. All that stuff is possible and available on Discord. And by the way, it's absolutely free. Absolutely free. So that's the best part about it. And so instead of dialing that long distance phone number at 702, which is a Las Vegas area code, of course, where I'm streaming from, the Discord can be used anywhere in the world because we do have people listening all over the world. So we have people in, of course, the Philippines, United Kingdom, South Africa, of course, all over the European Union, of course, everywhere in the United States and Canada, Mexico, you name it. We got people all over the country. As long as it's all over the world, as long as it's mostly English speaking, we're probably broadcasting somewhere there. So that's what Discord is fantastic for. Completely free if you have an internet connection, and that's it. That's it. There's also another Discord chat rolling over at Fringe, and it's the same program, just a different chat room. I'm watching all of them as we stream tonight, watching literally everything. So if you want to be part of that, fringe.fm/chat, that will give you a direct invite. And the easiest way to listen to Troubled Minds is to just download the Fringe app. You can find that at the Apple App Store, the Android App Store, and that is also free. So check it out at 7:05 precisely. Just smash the play button and you'll get Troubled Minds Monday through Thursday. All right. So with all that said, doing our thing and kind of catching up to just the housekeeping as we start tonight. Last night we had a doozy. We had a banger. We had lots of good calls and lots of good conversation regarding the Havana syndrome. And it seems that there's a lot to know about it, and there's a lot more to learn. And that's what we do is sort of kind of look at what the press is saying about things and discuss them. So, well, talking about news cycles and where we're going, we don't need rails. Let's begin here, shall we? Let's start with livescience.com. And we'll just let's begin. Let us do it. This is how the headline reads this: How real is the multiverse? Uh-oh. We've all heard of the Mark Zuckerberg metaverse, all right, where you put on the VR goggles and you descend into a world or even a universe known as the metaverse, where it's all simulation, all right? It's literally fake, and it brings to mind some questions regarding that. Of course, are we living in a base reality, as Elon Musk has said? If you look at where the metaverse is heading, and even video games 30 years ago, like he's described, or 40 years ago, they were playing Pong or something. And now, well, we're able to strap on VR goggles and travel into the metaverse itself. Well, all right. So that's fine. That's, terrifying. And what does it mean about us? Are we actually living in a metaverse already? And is this actually a base reality? Well, that's sort of the simulation theory and all the rest of that. But we're not talking about that in particular tonight, kind of just in the periphery, because this is a wild idea. Meaning that if you think about just our universe all by itself, it is unfathomably large. Very, very, very big. And so even so big, it's unquantifiable. There are estimates about how many light years and the rest of this stuff, but nobody really knows how big the universe is, because some say it's infinite, some say it's still expanding, some say this and that and the other thing, some say it's flat, some say it's round. There's a whole lot of that going on because, well, you can't measure something that's so immense and you can't reach the edges of, okay? So mathematical guesstimations are what make the day for this. And, of course, theories. And theories are fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with theories, because that's really what we do on the show, is a lot of theory craft, a lot of speculating, a lot of getting together and just considering what things are actually possible out there. And so as we do that tonight, that's what we're talking about, the multiverse. And what the multiverse means is not just our universe. It means multiple universes. It means the next one over. It means the next one over beyond that. It means, well, an infinite number of universes. And so, well, yeah, that's where we begin tonight, because why not? I saw this. It was a brand new article. This actually just was published 14 hours ago. And I was like, you know what? We haven't talked directly about the multiverse in a very long time. So let's do this. Let's talk about this. And let's consider the possibility that this isn't the only universe. And if we're talking about the metaverse in terms of base reality, in terms of putting on some sort of a headset and being able to experience another entire fabricated, created, pixelized, digital multiverse, through programming and all the rest of this stuff. Well, what about the real world? Let's assume for tonight that we aren't living in a simulation and we aren't some version of somebody's sick metaverse, like GTA 7 on steroids, and that's life. But instead, let's consider that the actual universe around us is only one of many, one of an unlimited supply of universes. They just go on forever and ever and ever. Let's read a little bit of this article and see what's going on. Imagine setting off in a rocket and leaving Earth, leaving the solar system, leaving our galaxy, breaking through the edge of the observable universe, and leaving our cosmos behind. Of course, says which would be impossible, as you'd have to go faster than the speed of light, but work with me here. And that's part of the point. It's theorycraft. It's speculation. It's, well, let's get there. Now, you are cruising through the unfathomable void for eons, only to come upon another universe, with another galaxy inside, with another solar system, another Earth, and yes, another you, sitting there listening to this show. It actually says reading this article, but, well, we just adapted it for our purposes. And, yeah, another version of you in another universe. And we've seen this in a lot of sci-fi, which is pretty fantastic. Fringe is one of the ones. You've seen that TV show Fringe with the main character there, Olivia Dunham. I remember her name because it's a great name. And, well, it's a great show. And the premise is, of course, that there are other dimensions and people living in those dimensions that are very similar to ourselves. For instance, there would be another version of myself somewhere that is maybe doing a different radio show. Maybe I'm a political propagandist. Maybe I'm banging my fist on the table and screaming about who to vote for, right? Maybe I'm not at all. Maybe I'm a diesel mechanic, or who knows? Maybe I'm, I don't know. Who knows? There are infinite possibilities here, and that's really what to consider. And I'm talking in terms of myself, but then think of another version of yourself. And if we have infinite possibilities, that means what's out there, what is possible, has been done. And well, that means every iteration of yourself could be something unique and something, well, even replicated. Maybe there's an exact version of myself out there somewhere as well. So I don't know. That's where we begin tonight. Just considering not only how large our universe is by itself, but what about the multiverse? What about the actual multiverse and string theory and the rest of this stuff? And that's what's on my mind tonight as we consider this. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you believe that out there somewhere, there's an actual another universe filled with all of the same or similar things as our universe, just slightly different? And that would mean a different version of you, a different version of me, and who knows? Who knows what's actually going on? Maybe in some universe we're reversed, and you're out there listening, and instead you're here on the microphone, and I'm out there listening. You never know. And that's part of the weirdness of this, and love to hear your thoughts. Do you think this stuff is possible? Of course, it's theoretical. It's cosmology. It's, well, it is at this point, as far as we're aware, which we'll get to maybe, not provable, because you'd have to be able to reach through some sort of portal, right? You'd have to punch a hole in our universe, to get to the next one somehow, right? So that's what's going on. That's what's on my mind tonight. And love to hear your thoughts. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we're just a casual Wednesday night talking about the multiverse here on Troubled Minds. That's what we do. All kinds of crazy stuff, weird stuff, and that's the way things go. So it got me thinking in terms of not just exactly this, right? But other things. The science fiction, we've got these movies coming out, all right? Specifically, we've got the Spider-Man thing, right? It's got this whole like universal something going on out there that's very, they're kind of merging Spider-Man timelines of a sort, right? You get the three different actors that are supposedly coming together, and I don't know if that's a spoiler. I don't think so. I think that's probably been teased for a long time now, and I don't know if it's true either because I haven't seen the movie, but it's just coming out, right? Like today, tomorrow, something, maybe tomorrow, tonight, I don't know. But point being is that this idea for a science fiction sort of multiverse trope is pretty fantastic, and there's a lot of ways you can tell some really good stories with this. But again, considering that maybe this thing is real, this whole multiverse idea is real, then oops, sorry about that. Oh no, I got it correct. I thought I banned somebody from the chat, but I banned the appropriate person. Okay, so that's what's on my mind tonight. Now, is it possible there's another version of you out there doing whatever, literally anything you can imagine? They say that with this whole string theory, this multiverse idea, that is happening out there. Whatever you're possibly capable of, and even things that are not possibly capable, you're not possibly capable of, are possible. The impossible becomes possible. And so that's what we're talking about tonight. And I don't know, it kind of creeps me out a little bit to think that there are other iterations of me in other universes out there, even if, right, you can never really reach out and touch them. You can never maybe contact them, or can you? Right? I think that's a weird, bizarre twist to this a little bit. When you think of, in terms of how large all of this is, that human beings are special in that we at least have the mental capacity to imagine these things. And we've talked about this before several times on several different shows. But if we can imagine it, then can we manifest it? Can these things become real? And what I mean by that is if, let's say, there's a diesel mechanic Mike out there, Michael Strange, working overtime right now in the rain, trying to fix a diesel truck because it's got to get back on the road. You know what I mean? Well, if that's the case, then is it possible that other version of myself is still part of my own consciousness here? I don't know. Considering that, consciousness, again, if we can imagine it, then is it possible that we can make it real? And that's the point here. If we have this consciousness that's able to maybe conceive of things larger than ourselves, are we actually, if there's another version of myself or yourself, are you able to maybe reach out through your own consciousness, through a shared consciousness, through a multiversal consciousness? And that's just one of the questions I have tonight. And do you think it's possible? Do you think any of this is real, basically? As you know, right, this is we drink a healthy dose of the maybe juice on this show, and just consider all the things. Just consider, again, we could talk about politics or who knows, whatever kind of just garbage dramas in the news, but why? Like, it's so boring. It's so like manufactured. It's soul crushing. It's propaganda. It's garbage, and I just don't like it. It's more interesting to me to consider larger ideas, and I'm not sure you get an idea larger than the multiverse itself, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So I don't know. So if there are versions of you out there, the first question I have tonight is number one: do you think that the multiverse itself is real? That there are other universes beside ourselves out there somewhere in the ether, or whatever you want to call it, whatever the spaces between universes, imagine that, the spaces between universes, whatever that means, and if is this real? All right, is this idea of string theory of the multiverse real? Or do you think we're just locked? There's one, that's it, it's a wrap, this is all we got, this is all we'll ever have. You tell me. That's the first question I have tonight. The other question, as I start to think about this, is do you think it's possible for us to maybe reach out and travel to these places through, things or places like maybe dream states, through things like astral traveling, being able to possibly concoct a spell or a ritual or some sort of a scientific something to bring you into these other spaces? And do you think, so that's the second question, do you think it's possible to somehow reach out there and be part of whatever those other multiverse areas are? From there, the other question is, do you think we share consciousness with individuals that are ourselves, but not exactly ourselves, somewhere else? And of course, if that were the case, then it would be a weird world indeed. And so, well, that's what's on my mind tonight. And love to hear your thoughts on this as we go, because this is pretty wild. Let's read a little bit more from this article. There we go. So this is the multiverse, and it might be a natural prediction of the physical theories that defined the beginning of the universe. Or it might not. It's tough to say, as new research has shown. Cosmologists largely believe that when our universe was extremely young, less than a trillionth of a second old, it went absolutely nuts. In the tiniest fraction of a moment of time, again involving trillionths upon trillions of a second, the universe got really, really big. That's right, really, really big. How big? It's hard to say exactly, because this concept is highly hypothetical, which is exactly what we're talking about tonight. Highly hypothetical is a good word, but way bigger than you might think should suffice. Most models of this event, called inflation, call for a universe that is at least 10 to the 52nd power times bigger than the observable volume of the cosmos. Since that observable patch is already 90 billion light years across, that means that the true extent of our universe is so big it's nearly incomprehensible. And if that's the case, incomprehensible, isn't it odd or strange that we can fathom of not just one universe in our human mind, our puny little gray matter, that we can actually conceive of an idea so large that it's larger than the largest thing we'll ever know? Bizarre, no? I find it fascinating. I find it amazing. I find it thrilling and exhilarating that we can really stretch our minds to these limits, to these levels, to consider things larger than ourselves and larger even than our own universe. And that's what we're here doing tonight. As usual, just trying to do a little bit of mental yoga, tell a good story, look at some of the science here and why they believe the things they do. And of course, tonight, talk about the actual multiverse. I'm going to do it. I almost said metaverse like 3 times. The actual multiverse, not the metaverse. And so that's what's going on. And that's what we're doing tonight. So I hope you guys are loving these conversations. I absolutely love to kind of stretch the old legs, kick the cobwebs out of the brain, and just think about things that may or may not be true and or possible or both. And why do people believe these things? Is there science based in this? Or is this all just a bunch of hogwash clickbait? And that's what this show's about. And so as we wind down to the bottom of the hour here, if you want to be part of the show, you know what to do. We have a phone number. We have a Discord. You can give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org, the official website. The phone number is also there right on top. You cannot miss it. So if you miss the phone number when I read it super fast, because I tend to do that, just go to troubledminds.org. It's got everything you need. Phone number included. So we're talking about the multiverse. Is there another version of you out there? And if so, is it possible to maybe reach through the ether or whatever the space between universes are and contact the other version of yourself? This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More multiverse and you when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And tonight, we're talking about the concept of the multiverse. That's right, the multiverse. We're talking about more than one universe, which of course means, is there more than one of yourself? And what does that mean for, well, anything and everything? Or is it just a bunch of hogwash? As always, we're open to all the ideas here, including, well, this is just theoretical hogwash, Mike, GTFO, and give us something else. Pick, well, and that'll be tomorrow. But that's the question tonight. So what do you think? We're talking about the actual multiverse in the sense that there are multiple universes, which means an infinite number of them, which means there are, well, I guess infinite numbers of yourselves, different iterations of yourself, and in different universes you are what? Who knows? Whatever the possibilities could be have happened, is what they say. Given enough time and enough space and enough all the rest of that, physics says that if it can happen, it will happen. And that's what we're talking about tonight. And love to hear your thoughts on this. Again, do you think it's just a bunch of BS? Do you think this is really a legitimate thing, and maybe there are maybe multiverse implications out there that we're dealing with that maybe we don't know? What about quantum entanglement, spooky action at a distance that's still completely unexplained? We don't know exactly what's causing that. Is that some sort of maybe multiverse sort of situation? That's if we can do it in terms of a particle like that, how about maybe some sort of contacting a different dimension, an entirely different iteration of our universe? I don't know. So I'd love to hear your thoughts at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. If you want to be part of the show, and click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Watching all the chat in all the places and taking some phone calls. Let's go to our good friend Joseph in Iowa. What's up, my man? I see you there, Derek. We'll get you in just a sec. Joseph, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good, man. Go right ahead. What's your thought on this multiverse thing? Is this again theoretical BS or something else?
I mean, and I think it's a theory, but like there's a movie, Doctor Strange, and in that movie, it's a Marvel movie also. It's I think it's the first one they introduced the multiverse theme or theory into Marvel movies. And there's a scene where they open up, it's like called Open Up Your Eyes on YouTube. And it's very similar to the experience I had in my Flash. Like, it's very similar. It's a lot of vibrations, a lot of geometry, but that's like an inner dimension, I think. A multiverse, I think, is more like Rick and Morty. I think when I think of that, if there's like a bunch of planets like this, I imagine there would be some that are doing the opposite of what we're doing right now, trying to physically spread out, and they're trying to still come here without coming here. You know, maybe they have proof of us because we don't have proof, and we gave up our camouflage.
Yeah, it's actually a fantastic point there. In terms of, so if we can't detect these other multiverses, it stands to reason that if anything is possible and has happened as a result of this theory, that means in some version of the multiverse out there, they have detected us, and they have maybe been in contact with multiple universes and iterations, very much like that show, The Fringe. And so, like you said, a Rick and Morty style, is that what's going on here? Because if you've given all of that possibility as being possible and happening somewhere, that means we've made contact, and not just extraterrestrial contact like we talk about, literally possibly communicating with a different version of ourself. How wild is that?
Yeah. Well, in the thing, they kind of combined, like they combined into one union, all the selves to one dimension. So maybe that happened, like they formed like the United States, but they started selecting people out of dimensions. I mean, that's all part of, that could all be, that was all in the show. It's, I don't know, it just really trips me out, the multiverse in Doctor Strange, though, how they connected it to my Flash, which wasn't really a Flash. It was more of a, like, DMT trip, but it wasn't DMT.
Right. I remember you told us that story. That's pretty wild. I think that's, how about this too? Speaking about a DMT trip, they say that when you go over there are entities waiting, right? And they call them machine elves or some other entities that are literally waiting for you because they know you're coming. They know you're about to show up. And so they're waiting for you to contact you and do the rest of that. Do you think maybe that experience, like you're describing for yourself there for your Flash, is that possibly one of those situations where it is maybe kind of dipping into an actual part of the multiverse?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, it would be hard to prove without... I mean, would it be hard to prove, though? If you had so much power, I don't know. I mean...
Yeah, it's okay.
I was doing a little research on it, and a lot of people... When they get there, they get them like, or not a lot of people, because I really can't find much on people naturally having these messages, because I got a message. Like, it felt like I met a meeting. So I saw people licking toads in the forest. And nice. they would be like, and they would feel this message. And they wouldn't be able to translate it, but they would just be like, I know. And like, they would go crazy off of this stuff, like completely crazy. But maybe they're tapping into a dimension where we're more spiritually developed. Or
yeah, exactly.
Maybe they're just frying them, they're maximizing their brain out, you know? It has to be that, because over time looks like they have cancer, you know, it really drags on them. So whatever it's doing is affecting them physically.
Yeah, well, and that's part of why we're doing this. I think probably one of the most it would be more trippy to me to meet like a different iteration of myself that was myself but not myself than it would be for me to meet, I don't know, say an alien or something. You know, like I'd trip out for a minute about the alien, but I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, this is fine. You know, as long as it wasn't trying to eat me or something, yeah, this is fine. But then, man, if it was another version of myself trying to shake my hand, I'd be like, really, bro? What is this? What is this? Yeah, pretty wild. I don't know. So what do you give it? Theoretical, clearly, but do you think there's something to this? That's the question tonight.
I mean, if there's another side with ourselves, then I think they would definitely be testing for it. I don't know how they would. Maybe by the stuff the elite do, and like I'm not even gonna go into it really, but maybe they can aggro the collective. Maybe they're at a war, you know, of seriousness in games. Maybe some people want to have fun and some people don't think it's a game.
I dig it. I love the theory. All right, sweet. Anything else? What else you got for us, my man?
That's about it.
Perfect. All right. I appreciate the call. Thanks for breaking the ice. Thanks for being enthusiastic about the show. Joseph here has a YouTube channel called Hydro Hose. Check it out. He does some original music, and you could find the link in the description below. You're the best, Joseph. Talk to you soon. Have a great night, bro.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, man. All right, so if you want to be part of the show, we're still taking your calls. We're considering the multiverse. We're thinking about the Spider-Man movie. We're thinking about maybe Doctor Strange, as Joseph brought up, in the multiverse of madness and all the rest of this. What does this mean? Is the multiverse a thing, or do you think it's just theoretical? Let's see what I did there. Theoretical higwash. No. Theoretical hogwash is what I meant to say. But anyway, that's the question on my mind tonight. And if you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Let's go to our good friend Derek in Massachusetts. What's up? The Night Stalker. How are you, my friend?
Going on, brother. Great show. Great topic.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I thought it was pretty timely with that Spider-Man thing coming out with the multiverse, and then that Doctor Strange on the horizon as well. But yeah, go right ahead. I'm sure you got some ideas here.
Yeah, I got a few ideas. I can go in a few different directions. It's my night off, so I'm kind of just waking up. So I figured, what better way to wake up than a straight shot of multiversal maybe juice to the dome, you know?
Nice.
Here we go. Let's get cranking here. First, just the zeitgeist, like the idea of the multiverse popping up in the zeitgeist, like the Marvel universe and the DC universe, which are like two of the biggest pillars of pop culture right now. They're like two of the kings of like movies, basically. They're keeping the box office open, and they're both introducing the multiverse big time, huge. So it's happening with Spider-Man. Primarily, like we're gonna see. This is not a spoiler because it's like in the trailer and stuff. We're gonna see all the different villains from all the different Spider-Man universes and stuff, all kind of combine, and most likely all the different Spider-Man all coming together this weekend or whatever for this multiverse movie. And then, but it also happened in Loki. They really addressed it a lot, and they had I guess this is a spoiler, but you have to know it to keep going in the Marvel movies. But they in the Marvel universe, there's a character named Kang, who his whole deal is that he's like a super genius from the 31st century, and he stumbled on the fact that there are other versions of himself, like in the multiverse, and that some of these other versions of himself know that he exists and know that the multiverse exists, and they're actively trying to like conquer other universes, and it creates this giant multiversal war, which people are theorizing that what this phase of the MCU is going to be like culminating in, this giant multiversal war with different versions of characters from all over the place. But it's not just those two. It's like generally any piece of like intellectual property in the zeitgeist right now is trying to like bring all of their stuff together and introduce this multiverse idea. So the casual person on the street now is familiar with the idea that there are potentially doorways that can open up to bring different stuff in and out from other worlds, you know? And just to go conspiratorial for a quick second, I keep bringing back the idea that the movie Watchmen, or the comic Watchmen, culminates in like this false flag alien invasion of this giant interdimensional squid, like Lovecraftian Old One style, dropping on New York City in this huge Havana syndrome tone and exploding everybody's brains. But like something like that, where they're prepping us for the idea that these doorways can just open and that these things can just come out of it from other worlds, you know, Lovecraft style. Perhaps like that's for some reason prepping the zeitgeist for something, you know. But like back to just the regular multiverse idea, I definitely think it's true, and I think it's like pretty much like the basis of how things work. I think on like a kind of esoteric metaphysical level, that it's almost like how like The Secret works, like The Secret of like the idea that like what you think like manifests your reality and that kind of stuff. But I think like the idea is because every possible reality is in existence all at once, like there's no real time. Time is just the way we perceive these moments. We like these one reality to the next, basically our perception of one reality to the next, we see it in like a linear time fashion, but it's not. It's all happening at once. So The Secret says like thinking it'll happen, but I think but the idea is, I think, being like you can align yourself with any of these infinite realities at any given moment, you know? And I think kind of like deja vu or like synchronicities are just different times where either maybe sometimes like synchronicities might be ripples, kind of you feeling yourself kind of moving along, like you're taking a big jump in this like almost like this shape, almost this like shape of time, this like you're moving along these different events kind of to find, I don't know, it's weird to kind of imagine, to like wrap your head around, but I think that's kind of what is happening all the time, is we're just bouncing from one infinite reality to the next, you know, or one of infinite realities to the next. So the idea, can we actually encounter one of our other versions of ourselves? I think it's definitely possible, you know. I think like with the I'm not sure how it works, like the Rick and Morty style makes it seem like there are just like it's like more finite, that it's like there's just kind of like other worlds that are kind of all connected that spring up. But I think it is more infinite, where every single possible thing is happening all at once, you know? But yeah, sorry, I'm rambling bad. Save me.
You're fine. You're fine. Okay. So how about this? So if it is, again, like I was saying to Joseph, if everything out there that can happen has happened or is happening, that does mean that in some reality, they found a way to contact us, you and me, in this reality. And whether we recognize that or not, it could be extremely alien. Just the term alien, right, literally turns into not a little green man. It turns into, holy smokes, like, what could this actually mean? Imagine there's a different version of me trying to communicate with me constantly, but I am not getting the message, right? Like, who knows? So do you think that maybe there's a chance that we share consciousness with maybe an alternate version of ourselves, or do you think no chance at all?
No, I think there's a chance of that, for sure. I don't know how it would manifest, and I don't know how we would really know if it's like, but yeah, I'm sure. Or I think there's maybe deja vu could be like an example, if like multiple realities of yourself are kind of like having the same moment all at once. I mean, like every infinite reality is possible at once. So in that, you're going to have me sitting in this chair, like infinite different times to lead to like infinite different minute differences that are going to happen from that. But also, like, I don't know. So it creates almost like when you, like in Tetris, when you kind of like line up a bunch of blocks together and it like explodes, whatever. Deja vu is kind of like when all these similar realities kind of like line up together, and you feel like a surge, like a rush, kind of, that creates like a ripple within like the multiversal foam or whatever, like the membrane of the multiverse, you know. But like I've heard, like one trippy idea that kind of gets to me is that if there is a finite amount of energy, like this described it in the universe, but just expand it to the multiverse, then what if there's like, amongst all the infinite versions of yourself, there's like a finite amount of luck or like spiritual resources or something? So in some version of reality, you're the king of everything, you're having the best possible reality, and in another version of yourself, I don't know, just it couldn't go any worse for you, you know. And so like basically when good things happen, you're taking it from another version of yourself, you know. It's a weird thing I like to think about, to kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I like it. So finite energy means you'd be sharing those sort of coincidental luck situations. I love it. Yeah, I love it.
It all has to balance throughout the entire multiverse. So if something good happens, then something bad has to happen to kind of tip the scale for your cosmic weight in the multiverse, you know. I don't know.
I love it. Pretty wild. So are you saying like in some multiverse, I'm always running hot at poker, like no matter what?
I think so.
Always catching the cards. I'm the luckiest to be on the block.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool way to think about like when bad stuff happens to you, like you're just taking that L for another version of yourself to get the win, you know, like you're like helping a brother out, you know, in another reality.
Taking one for the team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the collective nice soccer team, you know.
That's fun.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I'm definitely open to the idea, and just again to the fact that like they keep for some reason trickling it out in the media, like it's so commonplace now. It's in nearly every bit of sci-fi. They're opening portals to some other reality, some other dimension, and then I mean, obviously on like a more skeptical, like just media side of it, like these different tech conglomerates are just trying to figure out a way to like include all of their intellectual property into one universe, but just it's manifesting in a way where they're trying to tell us maybe there's other places to go, there's other dimensions, and all kinds of stuff. It's they find these doors we were talking about in the chat last night or a couple nights ago, whatever it was, but they find entrances to these other worlds, and somebody gets the idea, whoa, there's a whole nother land with all new resources that we can go and snatch up, we can go and grab. So imagine some type of cure for this, all these crises we're in, this climate change crisis, whatever, is, we opened up a door, CERN or whatever opened up this bridge to another reality, and we just found unlimited resources forever, you know. We found all the answers on the other side, you know. Maybe that's coming down the pike, you know. Maybe aliens, maybe it's going to get weirder than aliens. We're going to find other versions of us instead, you know.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. So then do you think, here's from Futurism, physicists weigh in, could we ever travel to a parallel universe. So I guess you just answered that through fire up a portal, and that's a big maybe, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think so. I think they were like, I don't know. The idea that the way I kind of have two just different visions, kind of like bumping up against each other. The one where it's just like every single possible reality stacked on top of each other, and kind of to move between those seems tough. Like trying to like see behind you. I can't really do it. You can't like. But the idea that there's just other worlds that are somehow all connected. Like, and when they bring in the omniverse, that the omniverse would include all the multiverse, but then all like the metaphysical dimensions laid on top of it, like the astral realm and the dream realm and that kind of stuff. And that those realms are like nexus points that allow you to travel from one reality to the next, like go into the astral in order to like jump from that one. And then the astral connects to the other physical realm, and you're able to use that as like a door. Potentially. And then also, like, before I leave, we're not out of time, but Steve mentioned in the chat, and it's a cool idea to think about, that like, what if when what if you can bounce your like soul, your consciousness from one reality to the next? Like, what if, like, for all we know, every morning when we wake up, we're in another version of ourselves, Like, do you ever have that feeling when you like wake up and it takes like a split second for you to like remember who you are? It's almost like your memories are like downloading into your brain again. So like, what if every time you open your eyes, it's just like you're in another incarnation, and you just think that you had all those memories again, So I'm not sure. Like, what if this is how it works? It's just infinite different realities, and then one day somebody is just like, I don't know, like driving down the street and just wham, and all of a sudden they open their eyes and they're just in bed the next day, and it's they're in another version of themselves, And that kind of it's in mythology, it's in religions and stuff. It's not impossible,
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. It's running out of time. Great show, Mike. Awesome stuff.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the call. You're the best. Everybody give Night Stalker a follow. He's got a YouTube channel. Links in the description. He's got a trailer. Let's inspire him to do some content. Give him a follow. Thanks, my friend. You're the best. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.
Later, bud.
Right. Thank you. You too. All right. So there we go. A couple great calls to kick us off, Joseph and Derek, and we're looking to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this? It seems it's one of those things, right? It very much like we talk about wormholes and fiction tropes and science fiction and all the rest of this stuff, right? But what about in real life? What about IRL? Is this a thing? Do you think it's possible? Do you think it's possible that out there somewhere there's another version of yourself? And if so, well, is it possible to contact them? Are they trying to contact you? We're talking about string theory tonight. We're talking about the multiverse. Again, is this hypothetical higwash, or is this something else entirely? Love to hear your thoughts. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange, and love to hear your thoughts on the multiverse, other versions of yourself, and, well, you. More Troubled Minds on the way. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. We are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. Through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People random images as they traverse neurons in your brain.
All right, so maybe,
and they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images.
from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. This show is live. We do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And what is it we do? Well, we talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what they are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. And oh boy, are we talking about the upside down tonight. If you want to be part of the show, we're taking your phone calls at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And you can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. That's troubledminds.org. And the phone number is at the website. The Discord link is there. Of course, Discord is a chat client. It's a voice client. It's a way for people to get together and hang out and share experiences. You can share links. You can share photographs. You can jump in a chat room, old school type in chat, or new school, sort of jump in and talk to people. You can even stream your screen on there, sort of like what's that program everybody using, like Zoom. You could use it like Zoom. It's literally does all the things. You could stream a video game or whatever you're doing from your screen or your webcam or a combination of all that directly into Discord and share stuff live. It's incredible. It's an incredible program. Like I say, I talk about it every night because it's really that good, and it just takes just a smidge of a learning curve if you're brand new to it. But come join us. Come hang out. Troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. And we also have another Discord at fringe.fm/chat. Same program, 2 different chat rooms. I'm watching all the chats right now because we're streaming in a lot of places. Technology. You got to love it, right? Broadcasting live on the radio, streaming in tons of different places, including, we're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter. And, of course, we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. So tonight, here's what's on my mind, right? We've got this new Spider-Man movie coming out on Friday, right? And the cool thing about it is it deals in the multiverse. The multiverse. We're talking about the 3 Spider-Man actors kind of coming together. We don't know how that's going to play out because the movie itself is not exactly released just yet, but it seems in the trailers they're going to do some kind of this mashup of different Spider-Man realities. And part of the deal is that the question is this, right? So if there are different iterations of Spider-Man, and I know this is just fiction and it's Marvel and all the rest of that, but you got to wonder, right? We've heard Elon Musk talk about base reality and things like this. Are we living in that base reality? Is whatever, let's say, as Night Stalker said when he called in a little bit earlier tonight, is that are we maybe sharing some cosmic, karmic potentiality of all of ourselves within, and we're just, one Michael Strange as part of the team of Michael Strange's all the way through the multiverse. Who knows? And that's the question tonight. I have this on my mind, and this is the question as we begin. Do you think this multiverse stuff, there's something to it, or do you think it's just a bunch of hogwash? That's the question, right? And if so, right, they say that if anything, given infinite time and infinite space, if anything can happen, it has happened or it will happen, all right? And so the question is this. Do you think there are other versions of yourself out there? Other versions of Earth, other versions of our very own Milky Way galaxy, where things are just slightly different. And if so, if anything can happen, and do you think it's possible that maybe somebody, another version of yourself somewhere out there has been able to reach you? And I don't know, maybe mind meld or try and communicate, like I was saying to Derek there when he called. What if there's a version of Michael Strange out there trying to reach me constantly, like speed dial, trying to get me to notice him from some other version of the multiverse, and I'm missing it. And I don't know, because I don't know what to look for. I don't know. It's me. And imagine if you did contact yourself. How creepy that may be. So that's what's on my mind tonight, and love to hear your thoughts. What do you think regarding this and regarding all the rest? And here we go. It seems like every hour we get to ban somebody else on YouTube, so there you go. Take just a quick moment here and ban this individual. Goodbye, Sandra. Thanks for hanging out with us. You are the best. Boom. All right, so that's my thought tonight. If you want to be part of the show, one more time, 702-957-1037. Let's go to our good friend Matt in California. Matt, welcome to the show. You're on Troubled Minds. Mike, how are you tonight?
Good. How's it going, Mike?
Doing very well. Just another wacky Wednesday talking about amazing stuff on Troubled Minds, you know?
Yeah, the multiverse, lots of stuff there.
Absolutely. Go right ahead, sir.
Talk about it with string theory. The way that I think the way they found string theory was they were trying to say that gravity should be more intense than it is. And they did the mathematical formula, and they figured out that gravity is bleeding through all these parallel universes, and that's what string theory kind of came from. It's of course a theory. Have you heard this before? Yeah, so and they're actually saying that there's some sort of possible portal with this dark matter or dark energy. I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, for sure, where there is in the cosmological terms, they haven't determined what's holding galaxies together, or the different galaxies from drifting apart super far away from each other. They're still kind of close in terms of cosmological time frames, but you're exactly right that there's a gravity signature out there that seems to be ghostly, that seems to be coming from elsewhere, and they can't mathematically define it. So yeah. So maybe it is seeping through some sort of portal from Lord knows where, whatever dimension. Pretty amazing stuff. Yeah. Yeah, but I think of it as our galaxy, our universe is in like a bubble, and we're like one bubble next to, infinite bubbles. We're like one drop in an ocean of infinite galaxies. That's the way I kind of picture it. Yeah, sort of that bubble bath theory. We've talked about that a little bit before, where the bubbles are all kind of right next to each other, even touching each other, just stuck in this huge clump of... My goodness gracious! How again? Just think about how large that is. That's so immensely big. Yeah. It's one universe is unfathomable, but infinity. Oh geez. So what else do you think about this theory? Go right ahead. Well, the way I think about it is, if there's a parallel universe me, I always think about every time I flip a coin flipping. So let's just say I'm hungry, I don't know what to eat. Heads is tacos, tails is pizza. Flip a coin, and I get heads, so I go get tacos. Does that mean that my parallel universe me goes and gets pizza? You had me at pizza. But yeah, you're right. It could be, and we've talked about those weird situations where even simple things like that, right? So imagine in some bizarre world where every time you flipped a coin in your head, it was pizza every time, right? And then so there's a version of Matt out there from California that probably lives in Florida actually and eats pizza every day. You know what I mean? Who knows? Yeah, and then another thing just to kind of think about when you're talking about this and the more you start thinking about like weird stuff, you're like, wow. But so think about this. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. There's no right or wrong answer. Sure. The question is, do you believe in fate and destiny, or do you believe in you have free will to do what you want? I believe in free will for sure. I think that in some capacity we manifest our own destiny through maybe through perseverance, through actions, through through learning and growth and the rest of that. But I'm also let's say I'm on the fence. I do think that free will is a thing, but I'm not sure beyond that, because if you start thinking in cosmological terms and the way we're talking about this, maybe me thinking my free will is free will actually is nothing like it, and it's what I think I want and I want to do is being downloaded for somewhere else. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's complicated. Let's say it's complicated. No, yeah, it is a complicated question. Like I said, there's no right or wrong answer. But no matter what you answer, let's just say you answered you have free will. that means that in another parallel universe, there's a Mike that is destined to do everything that he's done. He has no free will. He has destiny and fate. You get where I'm going?
Yeah. So
if you said the other way, if you said, I believe in destiny, that means there's another parallel universe where there is free will.
Right, exactly. Assuming I'm correct, because I could be very wrong. but yeah, okay, I got you. Because and that's the thing too. So the weird thing with these multiple universes, string theory and the multiverse itself, is that they say that if it can happen, it has happened and it does happen. But the bizarre thing is, it means that some of these universes are going to be alien. They're going to be gravity is going to be a little bit different, or things like this, right? Actual physics as we know them will be different in these other places, which start to really warp reality in alien ways, right? So just kind of thinking of even let's say that we don't mess with the physics of the universes and say that just leave it the same and then change the people and change the instances and their destinies and all the rest of this. That part's wild, but then once you start kind of warping and messing with the physics of the actual universes themselves, even in tiny spaces, tiny increments, it becomes creepy. It becomes pretty soon there's worlds out there where there's like an alien version of us and we're brothers, and who knows, and we eat alien pizza. I don't know, the more you think about it, the more it just seems absolutely wild. Crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, infinite possibilities. So I'm glad you're talking about it. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, definitely. It is like I said, I love the mental yoga. I love to consider all the things. So what else? What about like we were talking about? Do you think that it's possible, if this is all true, that somehow the other iteration of yourself is somehow sharing a consciousness, and maybe like a karmic value, like Night Stalker described? You guys are maybe sharing your universal or multiversal karmic thing amongst the many mats over different universes. What are your thoughts there?
That's pretty crazy. I just think that, if we're sitting here talking about it and thinking about it, that means that, in one other universe, at least one other parallel universe, the other Matt and Mike are sitting around talking about it and thinking about it. And
maybe trying to contact us right now. They're trying to get on the show.
Maybe they're further along. Maybe they're further along than we are in figuring it out.
Exactly right. We're going to have to open up a dimensional phone line to be on the show. Welcome, Matt from Florida in Dimension X. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's super wild. What are your other thoughts on this regarding maybe reincarnation or some of this other stuff? Any other thoughts you got for us tonight?
No, that's gonna be it. I like to talk about it and think about it. Just kind of open the mind,
Absolutely.
So I appreciate you talking about it. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks for being part of it. Thank you for the phone call. Matt in California, you're the best. Talk to you soon, my man. Have a great night.
Good night.
Thank you. Appreciate the call. There you go. We're just hanging out, the friends talking about amazing things. And the amazing thing we're talking about tonight is the multiverse. Not the metaverse, not to put the goggles on and delve into Mark Zuckerberg's bizarre fantasy world. No, we're talking about the actual theoretical multiverse. Is this real? Is it possible? And if so, they say that if anything can happen, it has happened out there, not just in our universe, but in the multiverse at large, meaning there's different iterations of yourself and all the rest of that. So love to hear your thoughts on this. Again, if you think this is a bunch of hogwash, I'm fine with that because it is theoretical and all the rest of those things. But I think it is, again, healthy to consider just realities beyond what we seem to be locked into. And that's what this show is really about. Mental yoga, we call it, drinking the maybe juice, and just getting together with our friends and talking about pretty wild stuff. And that's what we're doing tonight. If you want to be part of the show, love to hear your thoughts on this. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can give us a call and click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. The phone number is also there, and we'll put you on the show. Easy as that. Let's go to another good friend, Robert in Pennsylvania. Robert, welcome to the show. How are you tonight, my man?
I'm fine. What you were just saying just a few seconds ago about every possibility exists, right? let's say that, a man is traveling in a car with his pregnant wife trying to rush her to the hospital. All right? She's pregnant, he's about to deliver, and he comes to a signal light, all right? And it's turning from green to red. So he has two possibilities in his mind: to try to beat that light, or to be cautious and stop. So on this Earth or this universe, he realizes at the very last microsecond he's not going to be able to beat the light, so he stops the car. All right, screeches the car to a halt. But in the other one, the other possible, he goes through it, and the car comes racing from the intersection, and there's a collision. All right, there's consequences. Maybe both him and his wife get killed or whatever. All those things can happen because every day we're faced with making a multiple of decisions concerning where we want our life to go, or what decision we have to make today. Do I go to the store? Do I do some groceries today, or what? There's 10 feet of snow out there. Maybe I won't. All right. And every single possibility happens. One decision's made on this universe, on this Earth, a different one's made in the other one, and every one of them changes the life of that other person that you are, all right? Or those other people that you are. So everybody's living just a slightly different existence from what we are right now, what here on this Earth.
So you think there is a connection then? You think that all those realities with ourselves and with those other versions of ourselves, they are connected somehow, is what you're saying here?
Sure. Let's use an example. Okay. A few months ago, all right, Rockfin told you no. All right. No matter how persistent you are, we said no. All right. And then this Michael suggested to his audience, because, to try it, if you do an email, the email's done, and then suddenly Michael just blossoms into everything he wants, he's wanted. He gets on Rockfin, he grows on Spotify, all these things happen, all right? But in another Earth, Michael never mentions the solution, write an email. He never mentions it, and Michael quit his show. You see what I mean?
Yeah, it was close to that at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, you said so. You were so disillusioned, you were ready to pack it in. Well, on an alternate universe, Michael packed it in. He's probably dealing cards in some at the MGM casino. For goodness sake, who knows?
Right. Right. Yep. Yeah, who knows? And so on the flip of a coin, things like this, like Matt was describing, things can be extremely different, can they? So just one little decision, one split second, like you described with the stoplight scenario, things can be incredibly different. And so, yeah, it makes me wonder. Do you think it's possible for us to maybe contact those other dimensions, or do you think they're trying to contact us?
We live in all those things at once. But, it's interesting, though, because take, for example, the example of a guy going through the intersection, not stopping for the signal light. That, let's call him Tom, right? That Tom died in that car accident. His wife died. But the other Tom, who made the right decisions, continues to go on. So that means that there are other us's because every time you make a decision, you create a new universe. All right? All those possibilities. Let's say there's 50 different possibilities for, the outcome of what decision you'll make and what you do. And all those possibilities create other universes. All right, that's partly what convinces me that we're in some kind of virtual reality computer game. All right, because for that to be the truth, for that to be, that would take an enormous amount of I don't even have the word for it. But it's like when you're playing a video game. All right, you're trying to survive and kill the person, the character that's trying to kill you. And I'm going to sound a little stupid here because I've never played any. All right, but you're trying to do that, and so you're making the decision when you're at the controls of how to get that score up, how to defeat that thing that's coming at you. All those things are being made, and if you make the wrong decision, all right, you lose points, or you're out of the game. All right? Well, that's this is what you're talking about here. Unlimited possibilities. It's the same thing. It seems to me like we maybe are in a simulation.
Right, like this is not the base reality of some sort. Like we're living in something, some construct by some other something. Yeah, pretty wild, man. Pretty wild to consider all that.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Can you remember at your earliest time, as a child, the first thing you thought to yourself, I want to be? When I grow up, I want to be that.
I can't. Because I've still never had a thought of what I want to be. It's still a random, ugly work in progress. But I was never like I want to be a firefighter or anything like that. But no, I can't remember.
Well, most people go through different things they want to be. Like when I was 6 years old, I wanted to be a fireman. Now there's probably another version of me who is, right? At another stage, junior high school stage, I wanted to be a cartoonist. One that worked for Marvel or worked for DC Comics. As a matter of fact, I actually sent in stuff, and they told me to get a hold of them after I went out of high school. By that time, I'd lost interest. But anyway, that Robert is probably working for DC or Marvel Comics. All right? You see where I'm going with this? I do, and unfortunately we're out of time. For every dream you have for your life, it exists somewhere in an alternate universe if it doesn't exist here. Gotcha. We got to go, man. You want to hang on, or are you done? No. Let's give some other people, some other viewers, some chance to clock in on this. Okay. Appreciate the phone call, my friend. We're out of time. Thanks for calling, Robert in Pennsylvania. Have a great night. This is Troubled Minds on Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More after the break. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM, and we're taking your phone calls. If you want to be part of the show tonight, we're discussing the multiverse. That's right. Are there different iterations of Earth, our galaxy, and of course, you? And if so, what does that mean? Clearly, this is all hypothetical stuff, but consider, if this is actually true, the implications, and, well, what about shared consciousness between different versions of yourself? Love to hear your thoughts at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we'll hear your thoughts. We'll hear what's going on. Speaking of great thoughts and great calls, let's go to our good friend Lacey. Lacey in Utah, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing very well. Thank you for the phone call. What do you think about this multiverse? Do you think there's something to this, or do you think it's just a hypothetical hogwash?
I love I think we do live in a multiverse. And I'm hoping I can go full circle here. Everyone's got my brain just going, from the Discord chat, Rockfin, what Night Stalker or Derek had to say, and what Matt and what Robert had to say. I'm hoping I can bring this full circle. But first, I want to say thank you for holding this space for us to have these conversations and for all of us to have our different points of view. And how we have our different points. Yeah.
You're welcome. I'm glad you enjoy it.
Part of our different points. For sure. I enjoy it. I listen to your radio at night. I get your news station when I can. And I appreciate that. When I introduce your show to new people, I try to tell them it's kind of like your junior high or high school basement conversations with friends. So it's a good place to be, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Go right ahead.
All right. So the thing that comes to mind first for me is Rick and Morty. They do a ton of the multiverse. In fact, Rick refers to himself as C-137. So he's saying I already know of all these different Ricks. He goes and he meets with them. They have a council at the Citadel. So a bunch of these Ricks already know of each other, and they're playing off of each other's lives. So then that idea got me to the idea of the Deja Vu Theory, where if you're having deja vu, your multiverses are colliding, or you would be in contact with yourself. So that's basically like saying that you're your own higher self, or you're your own coordinator for synchronicities. But then that kind of and then full circle from conversations, that kind of got me over to where Matt said, if you flip a coin, you get heads. What if your other person gets tails? Well, it's like if you don't care enough to be flipping a coin, you're good with it. So you guys are kind of in this balanced dimension, this balanced universe. So it could allow for you guys to dip into other balanced universes, so you're like deja vu moments. But then I was kind of thinking, well, what if that all adds up to synchronicities? And synchronicities and deja vu moments, are a result of your karma, which is kind of your infinite energy. And you have that give and take, that yin and yang. And that brought me to the idea of where you were talking about, what if you were female, or I was a male in a different version. But one of the things that I like to think about is life is a game. I do believe in reincarnation. So life is a game. We've all lived these different versions of ourselves in all different forms: rich, poor, male, female, good, bad. Well, there's this, I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's called the Raw Contact. I haven't read it all. I just kind of know the base of it. And that's kind of, if you are striving to be good, you're more you'll balance out. Or if you're striving to be bad, you'll balance out. And that kind of intertwines with that dimensions crossing. Which timeline do you want to be in? Can you time hop? Can you decide that you want to switch over? But that brought me full circle to a topic today, which was kind of your planet. What are all your different ideas of a planet, or where you live? What's your people like? And I heard this planet paper earlier, so this is kind of a full circle to me. Where you're just planning out how everyone treats or reacts to each other. But then that got me thinking okay, well, we are all source consciousness. So all of our source consciousnesses interact with karma, which is how the string theory, or how we're all woven together to be that source consciousness. So if life is just a game, like Robert said, you got to practice. You got to practice making good choices and being kind to yourself. How are we all going to get on this kind of wavelength that's the same, that we're dipping and having those deja vu moments and those synchronicities and I know you from somewhere, but I don't know where. So we are all interconnected, but we could all be connecting most with ourselves, and that is why we are our own highest power, like our own highest self, but from infinite time views, like time lineages, because we're all universe consciousness.
Yeah, that's a pretty wild take there, meaning that it is all tied together. So that Rick and Morty scenario of the meeting with the different exact same individuals from different dimensions is maybe sort of a communing sort of situation that's always happening. I like that. Maybe I'm making up a term here, but that karmic leveling, maybe something like this, where it's all of the shared experience through all of the possibilities. And like you said, practice becomes discipline, becomes a lot of things. It becomes that manifestation we talk about. It becomes a lot. I like it. Very good stuff. Do you think this stuff is possible? Do you think that maybe we are somehow communing with that higher self version of ourselves that are ourselves? Do you think this is actually going on?
I'm definitely drinking the maybe tea tonight.
Okay, all right. Fair enough. That's what we do anyway. So probably not. That's okay. Theoretical, but it is fun to think in terms of.
I actually do.
Oh, you do. Okay. I thought you said no.
I'm drinking way more. Yeah, no, I'm drinking way more. I don't know what you guys mean when you say you're drinking the maybe juice. I kind of feel like it is what it is. There's infinite realities. What if there's only one ultimate source?
Yes, and all coming from the same place, the same projection, as Robert has said in the past as well. Yeah, amazing thoughts.
Yeah.
Anything else? What else you got for us tonight?
All right.
What else you got?
No, that's where I land. Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate the call. Thanks for all the great thoughts, and thanks for all the kind words. I appreciate you very much. Have a great night, Lacey. There you go. Simple as that. Fantastic calls. Like I always say, not kidding. The secret weapon of the show is our callers, and that's you. Like I said, you can't stress enough I'm me, you're you, but together we're us. And the perfect examples night after night of just amazing people calling and just sharing ideas and doing what we call drinking the maybe juice. And it just means that considering things that may or may not be possible. We talk about mythology. We talk about all that stuff. Talk about string theory, as we're talking about tonight. And maybe science meets religion in some cases. You never know. Science meets magic. And I don't know. You tell me. What are your thoughts on this? Thank you. Great call, Lacey. Fantastic stuff as always. And I don't know. I think when you consider the multiverse itself, it's like I always like to say, right? My ego is as big as the sun, which is an ongoing joke here. But it's I don't know. I don't like that there may be other versions of me out there. I don't like it. Meaning that maybe there are better versions of Mike out there. I'm jealous. I'm drinking the jelly juice, and that's not a good thing. That's not a good place to be. So I don't know. Kind of just considering that there are other versions of yourself, but I guess that would also mean that there are also worse versions of yourself out there. So in which case, let's just be grateful for what we have. All right. So as we continue this, we're still taking your phone calls. We got a little bit of time left. What are your thoughts on this? This whole idea of the multiverse. How real is it? And theoretical physicists say yes, it is. Here we go. Ancient astronaut theorists say yes. No. Theoretical physicists say yes. Possibly. And that's the deal here. That's what, again, it is a theoretical idea, this string theory, this multiple universe theory, and all the rest of this. And what does it mean? What does it mean? If there are multiple versions of you out there, are you able somehow to communicate with those other versions? And also, I started thinking about this tonight as I was getting this show together. Is it possible to travel between them? And here's one. Here's a little bit for our D&D fans out there. I know we do some Dungeons and Dragons once in a while, but let's look at this. This is in Dungeons and Dragons Cosmology, which again is based on a very lot of mythologies of the past, different pantheons of the gods, things like this. All cultures basically in kind of wrapped into one fantastic idea. That's what Dungeons and Dragons is. If you guys have never played it, it's just like an old school tabletop role playing game. I used to play it in my garage when I was a young man, a young teenager, and it was a lot of fun. And it was the same sort of thing, right? It was the idea of kind of removing yourself from yourself and considering another place, another time, another actual part of the multiverse where maybe you weren't you were, I don't know, a dwarf or an elf or something in between, or maybe you were very much like yourself. I don't know. But point being is this. The reason I bring up Dungeons and Dragons and the cosmology and all that stuff is because there's this spell, and I was considering that, is it possible, if these actual extra dimensions exist, right, these extra places, is it possible to travel between these different multiverse areas, these different universes? And well, in Dungeons and Dragons Cosmology, this is a little bit of fun, so we'll have a little bit of fun tonight. There's a spell called Astral Projection. Let me read just a little bit of this, pretty hot. You and up to 8 willing creatures within range project your astral bodies into the astral plane. It says the spell fails and the casting is wasted if you are already on that plane. The material body you leave behind is unconscious and in a state of suspended animation. It doesn't need food or air and doesn't age. This continues. This is from Dungeons and Dragons, a spell called Astral Projection. It's a level 9, and it is the School of Necromancy. There you go. So this isn't a real thing. This is a fictional thing. But anyway, your astral body resembles your mortal form in almost every way, replicating your game statistics and possessions. The principal difference is the addition of a silvery cord that extends from between your shoulder blades and trails behind you, fading to invisibility after 1 foot. This cord is your tether to your material body. As long as the tether remains intact, you can find your way home. If the cord is cut, something that can happen only when an effect specifically states that it does, your soul and body are separated, killing you instantly. And so it again opens up some thoughts here. This is a little bit of fun because they've put a lot of time and effort back to the great Gary Gygax. We've talked about him putting Dungeons and Dragons together way back in the early 70s, late 70s, and early 80s. Amazing stuff. But you look at the level of detail that they've gone through to really recreate these cosmologies, these. Again, these multiverse worlds, situations, just it's incredible that do you think this is possible? So let's add that to the question tonight. Do you think it's possible to somehow maybe travel in these astral realms to maybe an out-of-body experience situation? Or do you think it's possible that maybe even in a dream state, you're able to access or even go meet the alternate versions of yourself in these other realities? And I don't know, let's add that to the questions tonight as we keep on trucking. What are your thoughts? Again, we're talking string theory, we're talking multiple universes, we're talking about multiple versions of yourself. And what does that mean? And do we share consciousness maybe like Night Stalker said? Is there some sort of karmic balancing where we're kind of sharing the same pool of luck between all of our iterations throughout all the multiverse? And it brings up some other interesting ideas in that, what if the multiverse is sharing, like he described, a very limited amount of energy, right? It's not, everybody can't have everything they want all the time. So how do these multiverses work together? other? Are they encapsulated, stuck by themselves, or do they, rubbing up against each other, share something? I don't know. I think there's a lot here. Pretty good stuff with this Dungeons and Dragons. If you guys have never played it, it's a pretty amazing game. And they have a huge book called Manual of the Planes, where they talk about basically exactly this, talking about like a base reality that you live in, and then all the different planes you can reach. And it's all there, like you'd expect, Valhalla and Tartarus and the Nine Hells and all the different places they say exist in the world, right? Exist in the, in the extended world. Let's say the expanded universe of the universe, that sort of thing, right? So pretty good stuff. I don't know. I got a kick out of this, and just kind of going through and reading some of these, quote, spells from this game, from this old Dungeons and Dragons game, are pretty wild to me. But let's add that to the question tonight. Do you think it is possible to maybe somehow do the astral projection thing, and then not just some have described being able to maybe in these dream states, or interestingly, it says the material body you leave behind in this spell is unconscious and in a state of suspended animation. It doesn't need food or air and doesn't age. So it's like that entire essence of yourself has moved out of body and begun exploring the multiverse. So I don't know. Do you think anything like this is possible? I think it's fun to think about. I think it's one of those things where you like to consider there are things greater than ourselves. And for me, that's okay. That's okay. I don't have to be the center of the whole universe, and especially the center of the whole multiverse. That would be very challenging. So challenge not accepted. I'm not trying to do all that. That's a whole lot of work. That's Thanos style, snap your fingers and with the infinity gems. That's sort of that level. But anyway, so I don't know. Regarding this, I think it's pretty fun. It says the other interesting theory on this, and from this spell, this is where I've heard this before, that silvery cord that connects your soul, your astral projection body, back to your actual conscious body, your physical body, this in some sort of stasis. And this cord, right, is indestructible, basically, except for some very, very strong magic that is said can cut it. Actually, there's something called I can't remember the name of the monster, but there are particular monsters that sort of prey on people in Dungeons and Dragons, in their lore, that try and cut this cord. It's like their thing. So they move through the astral plane trying to come across unwary travelers and murder them in the astral plane just by cutting that cord and destroying their body back on home base, Earth. Good old-fashioned Earth, or whatever place they're from. But pretty wild stuff. I don't know. So as you see, we're talking about all kinds of stuff. I thought mixing a little Dungeons and Dragons and some of their mythologies here and there is a good time, considering why not? Why the hell not? Nobody tells us what to think. Nobody tells us what to say, and so that's what we're here doing, just kind of talking about this, considering all the things that's possible, and having a little bit of fun. So I don't know. Do you think that this astral projection stuff is possible? And what happens if you maybe move into another dimension, another realm where there's other people, and you come across yourself? What if you actually come across another iteration of yourself? What happens then? Is it sort of like the Great Scott from Back to the Future, Doc Brown, and the catastrophic space vacuum decay, or whatever he calls it, the space-time obliteration, or I don't know. Funny stuff, and that's what we're doing tonight. Hanging out, talking about amazing things, and looking to hear from you. Got a few minutes left if you want to hop on the phone. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the phone. Also, click the Discord link at troubledminds.org, and that's what we're doing. Just hanging out, talking about amazing stuff tonight. Let's read in the chat. Let's catch up. How's everybody doing? Hello. Yes. Good stuff. Tons of stuff in the chat. All right, so here we go. Just real quick, then let's add some of this to the fact. There's 4 ways they say, scientifically. This is from New Scientists now. So this is, we're leaving the realm of Dungeons and Dragons and we're coming back to the real world. 4 ways you can see the multiverse. And here's some of the science they describe this as being, right? Number 1, they say the wave function. This mathematical entity describes the properties of any quantum system. Such properties atom's direction of spin, say, can take several values at once, what is known as quantum superposition. But when we measure such a property, we only get a single value. In the case of spin, it is either up or down. In the traditional Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics, the wave function is said to collapse when the measurement is taken, but it isn't clear how this happens. In the multiverse, the wave function never collapses. Rather, it describes the property across multiple universes. In this universe, the atom's spin is up. In another universe, it is down. There you go. The wave function. Here's another. We'll burn through a couple of these and then take us to the end of the show here real quick. One more. Wave-particle duality. We've talked about this. In the landmark experiment, photons were sent one at a time towards a pair of slits with a phosphorescent screen behind them. Take a measurement at either slit and you'll register an individual photon passing particle-like through one or the other. But leave the apparatus alone and an interference pattern will build up on the screen, as if each photon has passed through both slits simultaneously and diffracted at each, like a classical wave. And wave-particle duality, that's part of this whole weirdness of what's going on. The observer effect. There's a whole lot of things going on that they describe scientifically as this whole idea of the multiverse actually existing, because there's a lot of this quantum mechanics things going on that we cannot really explain. And it's wild. It's a pretty wild thing. So that's what's going on. That's what we're doing tonight. We got Jennifer calling in, which don't want to cut her off because we're about to end here on the radio. But the thing is this, right? As we kind of wind this down and get finished up, I don't know. The question is, as always, this is not the answer show. This is the question show. I don't know the answers to these things. I mean, clearly we're talking about some of the largest concepts basically in the known universe. And well, let's just expand that to the multiverse while we're at it. So clearly, if I knew these answers, I would be floating, right? I don't. Sorry to disappoint you. This is not the answer show. This is the question show. And so as we consider not just the universe, but the multiverse, what do you think the other version of you is out there doing right now? I'd like to think they're listening to Troubled Minds and having a good time. At least that the other versions of yourself are in a good place. So I guess tonight, as we wind this up, let's send warm thoughts to other iterations of ourselves in the multiverse. Let's hope that they are well out there. Let's hope that as we barrel down faster and faster toward the Christmas season and the holiday itself, that, well, maybe, just maybe, the other versions of ourselves, we find them well. And that's what's going on tonight. That's what's going on many nights on Troubled Minds. And as we finish, you guys know the drill. You know how this works. If you're listening to us on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're listening to us on any other platform, including the podcast feed, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. And it goes a little something like this. Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific, which means the bad news is we're done. The good news is, God willing, we've got tomorrow. And let's do it like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, we are now officially off the Fringe and into the third hour of Troubled Minds. And the reason we do this is because some of our good friends have the tongue of a sailor and sometimes have to say naughty words, which aren't radio friendly. So by doing this, we extend not just the conversation, but also open it up to everybody so that folks that maybe can't trust themselves with an F-bomb here or there are now completely and entirely welcome. So as we do this third hour of Troubled Minds, we got Jennifer on the phone. We're going to go right to her in just a moment. Before we do that, we're going to take a 2-minute break. Hang tight, Jennifer. We'll be right with you. Thank you for the phone call. And we're still talking about the multiverse. Are there other iterations of yourself? And if so, well, let's hope we find them well when we find them. Here we go. 2 minutes, more Troubled Minds on the way, and Jennifer on the phone. Be right back. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. Thanks for being patient. As you know, going into the third hour, drinking a bunch of maybe juice. It's best to hit the restroom, and that's why we got to have regular breaks here. Getting old is the worst. All right, so we're still talking about the multiverse. Are there other iterations of yourself? What does this mean? Do you think this is real or a bunch of hogwash, etc., so on? And that's the way these conversations go. Let's go to our good friend Jennifer in Missouri. Thanks for being patient with us. Go right ahead. How are you tonight?
Doing good. Yeah, I've been thinking on this since you started the show, and I'm just thinking and thinking on it, you know. There's a lot of problems that come up. Like, when I think about this, about there being multiple versions of you, like of a person, it gets really weird. Like the idea that, because we don't really, because of the you thing, because of the I thing, because, you know, in ways, people don't really know we don't know what that is. Like, we have the idea of the ego and the brain, and that makes us who we are because we have all these experiences and everything, you know? And you have, what makes you you is not just how you look or where you live or what you do, but it's just your own experiences somewhere over there, you know, existing, doing what it's doing. And everyone else, too. And myself, you know, that's what makes me me, is that I'm experiencing this reality from over here. And it gets really weird because when you're thinking about this, and Einstein said, I mean, to say it, that without space, space and time can't exist without matter, or something like that. But you have to have space and time. For space and time to be there, you have to have matter. And matter is what we are, and everything else is. Like, I totally have no answers on this, but when they look at what we are, you know, and I've said it, Algo said it, you know, because it's something they've said recently, that people are 99.9% empty. Like, it's empty space. But that doesn't make any sense, 99.9%. Because then that would insinuate that and we know that time isn't real. We're just experiencing something occurring with gravity. But we know it's an illusion that has to do with memory. But then the idea about space being a vacuum is because it's empty. And then the idea that we can't be in a vacuum, though, but that would insinuate that we are also somehow a vacuum, or existing in a vacuum, or are the vacuum. Like, what if time, like, we're not moving through time, but rather, and it's been mentioned, like the idea that you're standing, like, okay, if time is a river, it's not so much that you're floating on the river, but you're standing in the river, and then time is moving past you. And you're not going anywhere, but the experiences and things are coming through you. Because we don't know what this is, what the reality is. We can't nobody understands it. We're just experiencing we're experiencing all these things through all the senses. Like, with the idea of wormholes and stuff, by way of wormhole, time is moving through you and you're experiencing something kind of like reality. But the problem is about the I and the you. Like, an infant can't tell the difference, you know. At first, it can't identify what it is. It doesn't know what it is. It thinks it's everything else around it. And in that kind of logic, the idea of, like, or even people who have multiple personality disorder, who have completely defined personalities, all existing in the same person somehow. It's rare, but it happens. But I mean, that idea itself too, and the idea that there might be multiple versions of you, it's really weird because it's like, is that you? Like, are you or somebody else? Are you the multiple versions of like probabilities of what could have happened, but that can't be because I'm experiencing this whole other timeline. And when you think about the string theory thing, you know, they've talked about maybe it's going away because they're coming up with this other idea that's kind of like it, but it has to do with like a drum. Like you hit a drum or you throw a rock like it's basically like a drum, like a vibration. So like if you, same as string, but kind of different, like I'm not sure exactly how much different it could be, but I guess it doesn't curve in on itself. But I don't know. Like I've been sitting here just like, what am I going to offer up with this? You know, because I want to bring something to the table. But then it's like, actually, when you start looking at it, it becomes very problematic. It would insinuate maybe that, I mean, if there's a fifth dimension and a sixth dimension and a seventh and on, you know, all the way to the 11th or infinite, that's like an omniverse idea. Because then the multiverse would just exist in one. It's just crazy. Because, you know, like the idea that, and I guess we'll never figure it out or anything, but the idea that, like, what if because people, when they do remote viewing, they're given, like, coordinates, and somehow with their mind, they go to those coordinates, but they don't even know where they are. It's like just the longitude, latitude. And they send their consciousness to those coordinates and tell them what they see. With what? What are they seeing with? You know, if they don't have their eyes. So what defines, you know, and it just becomes really complicated because, I mean, I don't know. More questions. more questions.
As always, right? There's more questions than answers. Yeah. So that's a fantastic way to put this. In that, definitions are always sloppy. We talk about this all the time, whether it's aliens or demons or this, that, the other thing, right? Like the jinn and all the rest of this. There's so many things that sort of humanity has trouble really quantifying things because we don't know all the things. But then, in this sense, you're saying that, like, well, when you quantify the self in a particular way, then those other selves aren't you at all, are they? They wouldn't be. They can't be. Even if it was the same DNA, they would have, like, an entirely different experience, and they wouldn't be you, would they?
No. But then what if we are all the same, like with the 0 point? What if we're all the same, like, thing, experience? Not that idea necessarily of, like, the God experiencing itself thing, but sort of. Like, what if, like, the idea of casting yourself into another place, you know, or into an object or something like that, is that something that's doable? Is that, you know, apparently people have done it. Is that what's happening when you, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, what if I am and you are and we all are, but we aren't aware of it because we're ourselves, you know? So I don't know, but it's really hard. It's impossible.
Yeah,
it's impossible to do.
Just another Wednesday night on Troubled Minds, just tackling down the impossible. No sweat here. No problem at all. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. What about if there are these other iterations? Do you think that maybe we can reach out to them? Do you think that maybe they're trying to reach out to us? Do you think there's any connection there at all, or do you think it's too hazy to make a guess here?
I think it's happening all the time. Like, where do ideas come from about who you are and where you're going and what you're going to do? Where do you get those hunches? Is that yourself somewhere telling you that? Because we know that there's no past, present, or future. So where do we get all of this? And the idea that if everything's still existing, like the past doesn't just disappear. You know, you could kind of like the remote viewing, you could type in the coordinates and go to the space-time, if it exists, if space-time exists. You could go to those coordinates of the past or even of the future where you've already died. How is that? How could I already be, if it's all existing now, like the theory that's been mentioned, you know, several times, then that means I'm already dead. and I'm also being born somewhere, you know? So how? And what is it? So what are we? If we're just kind of floating here in a somehow stationary-ish And then all of this is coming, whatever this is that we're looking at and experiencing, but we're able to leave this spot somehow, by, like with remote viewing, like when people who do that, or astral projection, like you mentioned, they are able to leave this space that they're in and go there. So it's not us here. It's them going, it's ourselves, something that is our conscience or something that's able to perceive things is going somewhere else without eyes or ears or anything. Without anything, is going somewhere else to see things that are impossible to see without those things. And so if you're floating there like that, when you're in your body, and there's all this stuff coming towards you, it's not coming towards your body at all. It's coming towards that thing that's moving through multiple dimensions beyond space and time. Regardless, breaking the laws of nature, when you do remote viewing or astral projection, you're breaking the laws of physics and nature as we know about reality when that happens, because you're going somewhere else without yourself that's perceiving everything. And so there's another possibility that, if you could somehow astral project yourself into a room where somebody is, if somebody was capable of doing that, if they really, really tried, would you know that they're there? Would you sense them there? Some people think so, and they think that maybe ghosts and stuff are something doing that. But it's the I and the you that becomes kind of the hard thing, because when you want to think about the idea that there's multiple me's somewhere, that's already happening, because I'm not even sure that where am I? Where are we even? If there is no space, no time, and matter is empty, then reality is on its head. It doesn't make it, it doesn't, and if you can move through this without going anywhere, like with your imagination, then when you see things in your head, is that a reality in itself? Is that making it happen somewhere? That's on one of these other, it's just too big. It's too big, and I don't know.
It's too damn big. Damn it, Mike, you've done it again. No, I think the craziest part too is like you described. If that projection is actually Robert is going to be back on the line here in a sec, but he's described in the past that our reality is a projection coming from outside of our universe. The things we actually get are from some other source, whether you want to call that the God source, or whether it's some experiment on some alien's desk or something, right? And we'll look we're in a petri dish or something like this, right? But that reality somehow is projecting from elsewhere, and that would be outside of our universe somehow. So what, again, the definitions of what all that means gets super murky super fast, because you don't even know, you don't know what you don't know, and we're standing on top of that trying to peek over the top of the wall. It's wild. It's definitely wild. Amazing stuff as always. Do you have any experience with astral projection or any of the rest of that? Or have you know anybody who's done it? Have you done it yourself? Do you think it's even possible?
Yeah, I've had weird stuff happen. Where I've done something, but I didn't know what I had done, and I was somewhere besides where I was. So yeah, I've had something like that happen, and I actually had a feeling of coming back to myself. It was almost like being instantly lurched back into myself almost. So I've had that happen. I was actually having I was doing this hypnosis thing, and I won't go into it. Yeah, I've had something like that happen, where I was somewhere else and was aware that I was not in myself or where I was. And it wasn't a sleep state, and it wasn't anything like that. I went somewhere else, and then I forgot that I was even existing here. If someone hadn't said something, I may have just floated off. You know what I mean? It was not under the influence of any kind of drugs. I wasn't sleeping. It was some kind of a near-death experience type thing, but I didn't have a catalyst. I didn't have a near-death experience. There was almost just this sequence of events that happened, and it was a ritual type thing. But I just somehow went somewhere, and where I went was had something to do with. I'll just say it had something to do with light. But then you think about the light and how that's affecting everything too. That the light, the traveling of the way that light travels, that has profound effect on our reality. That it exists at all. It can't exist without that light. And that's why they have that they have these new theories right now, just real quick, and let Robert get on, but hypercone light theory, where it's a 4-sided cone allowing light to pass down to to a point zero. But it's really strange. I don't know. But yeah, I think, light, not as we think of it, but anyway, just, the way that light travels.
Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff as always, Jennifer. You're the best. Please give Jennifer a follow. She's got a YouTube channel. Link is in the description below. You're the best. Always a pleasure, Jennifer. Have a great night. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the phone call.
Thank you, Mike. Have a good night. Bye,
You too.
guys.
Thanks a lot. There you go. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff as always. I'm going to step away for just a second and get the dog. She's freaking out over there. Maybe has to go to the bathroom. So here's what we're going to do. Let's get James on, and he's going to buy me a little bit of time, and then we'll get to Robert in just a sec, and then we're going to do our thing. So let's go to our good buddy James Salcedo of Salcedo Paranormal. What's up, my friend? How are you? Welcome to Troubled Minds.
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure's mine. So can you do me a favor and start telling us your take? I'm going to mute, run off, and let the dog out real quick out of the kennel, and I will hear you, and I'll be back. Give me can you talk for 45 seconds?
Oh, yeah. Well, I have a couple of experiences I wanted to share anyway, so I think that'll work well for you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Do your thing. I'll be right back. Turning up the speakers. I can hear you. Be right back. Thanks, James.
No problem. Yeah, so funny that we're talking about the multiverse here. I may have mentioned this before in the show. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I have mentioned it in the after show chat. But so I've had a couple of basically times where I had what I thought was a dream at first, but as it went on, I realized it felt like more than a dream. It felt more real. And the first time, I had this experience where I was walking down a city street, but it wasn't a city I recognized. And what was strange about it was I didn't have my white cane. I'm legally blind, and I always have my cane because I have no depth perception. So I need that to find steps down and everything and other obstacles. But I was walking through the city, and I didn't have that. And even though I didn't notice any difference in my vision, I was still fine with just walking, and that does not happen unless it's an area I know really well. I'm always worried about running into things or slipping off of things. So
yeah, and anxiety, right? I'm sure I'd have an anxiety that like that would be super prevalent. Like I have a fear of heights. That's it's one of my things, right? But I would imagine as you're describing it, like I would be terrified of just smacking into something super hard that you didn't know was there, right? I mean, that would always be on my mind.
Oh, when you put me like in a place I've never been to before, I have to slow way down. Because I don't know the place.
Right.
If I'm like in a family member's house or in a library I know really well, I can get around fairly. I walk around. I don't really think about much. It's not that bad. But yeah. So anyway, I was walking down the street and I was walking home, and I knew that, and that I had just moved to this apartment building that was in the city that I didn't recognize. And the dream didn't last long. I was only just walking down the street, and I walked into this apartment building, and then it ended, but it was so real. And again, there's no way I'd be doing that. I'd be walking anywhere without my cane in this life, here in this universe. Not even out, as long as it's outside, I wouldn't even do that in places I know. Especially on like a street, I wouldn't do that. So that was my first experience with that. And I guess maybe that might, I can understand someone saying, well, you were just dreaming. And I'm not going to bother defending or anything like that. That doesn't matter. I know what it felt like to me. But this other experience I had, again, it felt like more than a dream. But it was a familiar setting. It was a house where I had lived with my mom and the man who had been my stepdad for a while before he and my mom got divorced. And my sister, we had lived there. But in this experience, we were all in the house again, and my sister was there, but there were also basically, it was like my mom had tripped 3 kids, 3 daughters, instead of 1. And they all looked similar, but they weren't identical. But it didn't seem out of place. It was like...
That's so weird.
Yeah, for whatever reason, we were all living together in this house, even though, obviously, that would not be happening now. And everything was normal. Everything was the way it was supposed to be. And they were all just slightly different, but they were all, the daughters of my mom and then, the dad. And so I don't know what that was, except maybe some other kind of other universe.
And they were somehow showing themselves to you, or you were somehow being able to see them. Whether this is so this is, it wasn't a dream state. This was more like we're talking about astral travel, right? Like an astral projection.
Yeah, it was like I was almost like I was in the body of some other version of me.
That is so wild. That is so wild.
And because again, like I said, that first one, okay, if you want to be super skeptical, well, whatever, me dreaming of some made-up city.
Sure.
And me not having my cane for whatever silly reason. I don't know. Even though, like I said, I know better. But the second one literally makes 0 sense. So, those are the experiences I had. So I definitely believe in a multiverse.
Yeah, and obviously another iteration of yourself. That's pretty wild. So, any idea what tripped that experience? Do you think there was something? What do you meditate? Do you do anything like this? I'm not implying you were high, but did you take DMT? You know what I'm saying? Anything like that?
Well, I mean, no, but
little DMT every day before breakfast.
It's not a question of if; it's a matter of no.
Right, exactly, exactly.
But no, actually, what's really strange? I've only tried meditating like once or twice. All my experiences I've ever had, they just happened, and I don't know how or why. I have had other experiences where I visited places in my dreams before I went to them in person and while I was awake. So I don't know how any of that works either. If that's another universe, if that's I don't know if that's on the topic for tonight or not. I just know, I have no idea how any of this stuff happens or why it's happened to me, but definitely interesting.
But it's happening. It's happening. And also, by the way, you know us, it's all on the table. We talk about all the things. So yeah, it's all good. If the thought takes you somewhere else, let's go there. That's all fantastic stuff. So you believe that this is real, this multiverse theory is a real thing, and there are other versions of ourselves out there. And somehow, some way, in a moment, you found a way to witness part of that. Strange that, how? I don't know how. The question becomes how, when, where, why, right? How do we replicate this? Pretty wild stuff. I don't know. No answers from me, but amazing stuff as always, James. Anything else you got for us?
Well, it is interesting how just through the chat we were talking about the topic of like dark matter or dark energy came up in the chat as being a possible link between these different universes, and it got me thinking about how the whole situation or the whole thing of shadow figures, and where do they come from? Do they come from alternate universes?
Are those the shades of ourselves watching us? Oh, I love it.
And are they made of that dark matter or energy? Is that how they get here? Is that like a portal in a way, or just a very interesting thing? I'm going to have to look into that.
I love it. It sounds like a topic for your paranormal talk show. James here has a podcast called Salcedo Paranormal. Link is in the description. Give him some love. Give him a follow. He talks about paranormal topics every single day, 5 days a week. And he's the hardest working man in show business now. It used to be me, but now it's James. You're the best, bro. You're the best.
No, you still got that. You still got that title. I only do a short show compared to yours.
All right, fair enough.
So,
fair enough. Mutual respect. Yeah. Always a pleasure.
Yes. Yep. Thank you. Have a good night.
You're the best too. You as well. You as well. Thanks, James. Thank you. You too. All right. My brain went 7 places at the same time. Okay, so we're talking about this multiverse theory. We're talking about all the rest of this stuff. And is this real? Clearly it's like a theoretical physics. I can't say it. And what is it? What is this? Is this? Have you actually stepped out? What about astral projection? Have you done that? Speaking of astral projection, let's go to our good friend Robert. Robert in Pennsylvania. Welcome back, sir. Sorry to make you wait. Go right ahead. How are you tonight?
I'm calling back because somewhere in this conversation, I'm going to say something that's probably going to be quite controversial. For one thing, what Jennifer was saying, was it Jennifer? Saying about, could there be some spirit in the room? And you sense it. I can assure everybody there are spirits in every room of your house. All right, whether they're spirits of those who have passed and spirits of those who are still living. All right, that's a reality, and I know it's a reality. Every time you dream, when you go to sleep and you dream, you're astrally projecting. All right, it's difficult when you wake up and try to piece all these different things that happen in your dream together that sometimes don't make sense. But it's only because you've been different places throughout the experience traveling astrally, and then when you return to your physical body, you're remembering them as one trip, and that's out of place. Every infant, up till probably around the age of 5, astrally projects throughout those early years. All right, because that's a new spirit, that's a new soul, and an old soul maybe in a new body, and it has to do this to adjust to the requirements of getting about in this physical existence. Now, to the controversy. There are several levels of our souls. All right, people will talk about guardian angels, and I can assure you that guardian angel that you sense, that you feel is watching over you, is just 1 or 2 levels up of your soul. All right, there are 7 levels of the soul, and the highest level is the oversoul. Anyway, that guardian angel is of a lower level that is there to try to stop you, to help you get through this existence without really screwing up. All right, and it's frustrating because in the physical reality we have free will, and that's that guardian angel's purpose, is to try to protect you from doing something that's going to bring harm to yourself as you're getting by. The thing about astral projection is I can sit here on the phone, I can talk on it for hours, but I tend to skip here and there to this and that and the other thing, and that troubles me when I do that. All right, that's why I'm a writer. I can put it on paper and everything's right there, and everything goes from one sentence to another paragraph, to a paragraph, to paragraph, to paragraph. All right, but that's what it's all about. Anybody can do astral projection. I've done it. All right, I've done it. I've practiced it, here and there throughout a good bit of my life. But there's a problem I have with it. What somebody was talking about, you were talking about, the silver cord. All right. Every time I manage to get out, that's what I call it, getting out, I sense every time a dark, malicious presence. All right, that scares me right back to where back into the body. All right, I've never managed to get beyond that, and I have to agree there are entities out there that are just laying in wait for you to do something like that. It can be very dangerous, astral projection, to slip right in, either to sever your cord or frankly, to take possession of your physical body. So, you really have to be, you really shouldn't not do that sort of thing or try to do that sort of thing without working with a very experienced practitioner. Because, you can easily slip out there and never come back.
Gotcha. So per usual, a lot of the Dungeons and Dragons lore here in that spell for astral projection, there's some truth to this, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's all based on the literature. The experiences that there's countless volumes on astral projection. I've read a lot of them. And Dungeons and Dragons is based on those principles. All right, you have an oversoul. All right, this is the controversial part. When people pray, when they get on their knees or stand up with their hands together and pray, and they're praying to God, who they're really praying to is that oversoul, that one highest level of your soul. All right, that doesn't come back, doesn't reincarnate. All right. Making requests of that soul, of that higher level soul. As a matter of fact, in my story of creation, I have a little thing there where I forget his name, little Tommy, whatever, is like 4 or 5 years old, and he's on his knees and he's praying. But the oversoul is saying he's praying to God. He thinks he's praying to God. I'll let him think that. Because the oversoul is Tommy. All right? And Tommy thinks he's praying to God, but he's praying to himself. Okay.
Gotcha. Interesting. That's pretty wild.
That's controversial. I'm probably going to get my rear end fanned by a few people on the show for saying something like that.
That's okay.
All right?
That's okay. You're in a safe place.
It's true.
You're in a safe place. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
Amazing stuff as always,
Have
Robert.
you ever had an experience?
No,
Have you ever
know
had
what?
an experience?
I haven't. So I have had those moments when like a Night Stalker was describing it, when I wake up and there's like that, it's barely perceptible, but there's like that moment where everything seems like it's like the reset. Somebody needs to download the data, right?
Reset.
Like kind of like you're
absolutely.
You don't even know you're
nail on the head.
Yeah, until like a moment later, then you're like, oh, okay, I know where I'm at and where everything's in. That's my dog, and there's my this and that. Like I'm Michael Strange, right? But there is it's so minuscule, it's so difficult to describe, but it is tiny. That's the only thing I've ever had, but never like any real sort of out of body experience, astral travel, nothing like that. Never had any weird time slips or anything. Sorry, go ahead.
He also said something profound, when it comes to the downloading, all right? It's what's being downloaded, all right? The same person, the same environment, the same life you were living the day before, or it's in a new one with false memories, all right? I thought, I heard that and I thought, bingo. All right. How do we know right now? I'm sitting in this chair. I'm looking at you on the screen. How do I know that yesterday I wasn't living a different life? All right. Maybe I was living a life on that parallel Earth, but a different life. And then when I went to sleep, I woke up. The artificial memories were downloaded, and now I'm in this one.
Like it's bouncing around, like it's changing. So the you're actually bouncing around realities.
Yeah, and the truth of the matter is, we're living, we are what's called incarnated, but we're living all those times at once, right? We're living in the past. We're living in ancient Egypt. We're living in the future. It's all happening at once. But the one true thing about it is the guardian angels are the true reality of those guardian angels is that they're just one or two levels up of your own soul that is there to kind of monitor you and try to help you not, make mistakes that would frankly interfere with the script of what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Like there's a whole lot of shenanigans going on, which would explain why reality is so strange as it is. Yeah, wild stuff, man. Wild stuff. This is why we get together and do this. Amazing as always. You're the best. You're the best. Anything else you got for us? One more thing. Sure, go ahead.
You ever hear of bilocation?
Being in the same place, two places at the same time?
Yeah, where you can actually physically be in multiple places at the same time.
Yes, never actually did a show or did cases on that or kind of looked into it, but I've heard of it. Yes.
That would make a terrific show, because there are saints like Father Pito, all right, who was a legend has that he could do that. He could be in several different places at one time, and was seen simultaneously in several different towns at one time. You might consider, at a later date, do a little bit of background on that. That'd make an excellent topic too. But also, astral projection is an excellent topic.
Okay, 100%.
Because there isn't anybody that hasn't had some kind of experience with that.
Okay.
I mean, there's people who've never seen a UFO, but there's nobody who hasn't experienced some sort of odd sensation that they had separated from their body.
Gotcha. So Mike D for Life in the chat says this: there was a Catholic saint in the 20th century that was visually verified with cameras being in 2 and 3 places at the same time. He was sainted because of things like this. There you go. So he said it first, and then you said it. So just give Mike D for Life some credit for zipping it through the ether into your brain to give it to us. Amazing stuff.
I do. He probably did.
He probably did.
Thank you.
You're the best, Robert. You're the best. Always a pleasure. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night. Thanks for the call.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks a lot. There you go. Robert has a book called Stories from a Fractured Mind, as a matter of fact. I have a copy right here that he sent me. Check it out. Do check it out. It's a fantastic book. He's got tons of short stories in here talking about all the amazing things. He hates when I plug his book, but he's an amazing dude and a brilliant writer. So do check it out. Stories from a Fractured Mind, the Robert Collection. Links in the description. There you go. Friends of Troubled Minds. And this is the thing. The reason I do that is if I know you've got a creative project, and the list can get long, I'll add like a whole Friends of Troubled Minds to the webpage or something, because I just want to make sure you guys are doing hard work out there as well. I want you to be recognized. I want you to be noticed. I want you to get some traction out of that, and if I can help even a little bit, I don't mind doing it all. You guys spend your time listening and contributing, and I appreciate that very much. So just a way to say thank you and kick it back to you a little bit. So let's keep on trucking. We're talking about astral traveling. We're talking about all kinds of whack stuff because, well, that's what we do. This is Trouble Minds after all, and well, let's do it. Let's go to our good buddy Kelly. If you're there, Kelly in Colorado. Welcome to the show, my friend. Welcome to the show, my brother. Been part of the Troubled Minds family for literally years. How are you, my man? Welcome to the show.
Good, man. How you doing?
Doing very well. Go right ahead. What are your thoughts on the multiverse and other versions of Kelly out there? You think that's creepy, or you think that's plausible?
I'm not one to try to say that it's not plausible, but this one's kind of hard for me to say that it would be. And I'll give you reasons why. Okay, so if we're saying that there's a multiverse, there's multi-versions of us, right? So then that is saying also that what people would want to call a soul, or what I refer to as like your true self, your pure energy, right? So everything's energy and then it becomes matter. So, and people say that's your soul. Okay, so if that's the case, if there's a multi-universe and we're all experiencing different things at the same time, then that means you're split, that your energy or your soul is split into all these different matters at the same time. Because if that's the case, then it's hard for me to understand that each one of those part of your energy is being split like that. It's either saying that we are a solid matter, maybe could be in some case like a crystal prism. That when light is shown into it, that it splits out, like a crystal hanging in a window, and it's each little prism has got its own light source where it shows like we have little dots all over. So is that the case, that we're being shot into a prism or out through a prism and into different universes and experiencing that way? Because that's the only thing that I could think that would, in somewhat of a case, I guess, that would be the reason why you would call a multi-universe and experiencing that. Because, I know energy doesn't die, it just transforms, but to share multi ones, that's kind of difficult to wrap the mind around.
Yeah, or have multiple. Like I said, maybe there is that. I think. Okay, how about this? Regarding what you just said, that base person or that base whatever essence of whatever we are, that prism itself. What if that is the base reality? What if there is one where we are generating more versions of ourselves? Whatever that, the first iteration of us was the first iteration, and everything else past that is something else, some variation. But like you're describing, if you had that base person or entity or whatever it is, like a prism, and you did shine light through it, like Jennifer was saying, like light, this is about light. That if that's the case, then maybe that's what's happening here. There's a lot kind of coming together in this because, as Robert has said in the past as well, like I described a little bit earlier, Robert that was just on the phone, he said that our reality is getting a projection from elsewhere, from somewhere else. Like we're experiencing something sent to us from outside of the universe. So I wonder if our base self or our base entity or that prism is possibly maybe outside of the universe itself, casting our light, our shared light, into multiple universes. I love it, man. I love the idea. Definitely good stuff. Have you go ahead? Anything on that? Actually, give me 30 seconds too. I'm going to be right back, but I'm going to listen. I'll turn you up on the speakers.
Yeah, I don't know, because that's for me. It is going to be a prism type thing because and if that's the case, you would think like a prism, right? If let's go and to think like as a prism, it'd be like a crystal, right? So if you're shooting light through it, we are the light from maybe within, and crystals have their own vibration, right? Maybe that's what we're doing. And if it's in a multi-universe, that each vibration that you're sending throughout the prism is experiencing that whatever part of the universe or a universe that it's experiencing at the same time. But at the same time, maybe in each different universe, you're having a different, you could send out a different vibration to the other ones and can affect it, and I don't know if it could be in a positive or a negative way, because, sometimes not every prism is perfect, right? It could be cracked in some way, kind of like what the GI what the hell was I gonna say? I lost train of thought. But Star Wars, right? Like the Jedi, how they have to have a crystal for their lightsaber, right? But like, what's the name had one? His was kind of weird. And it was
Kylo Ren. It was cracked. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. You know what's cool too about that idea about the Jedi, bringing it into this conversation, is that remember when Yoda passed away, he actually ascended to some form of light version of himself, and he was in spirit form. So maybe returned back to that base, whatever he was, that prism, right? That prism state. And so maybe the other alternate Yodas are still out there. Just he returned to that source that we talk about, right? Return to the source. Crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, you can, and if that's the case too, like, you go back to that source and now you can control that prism on what light you can send yourself into a direction. That'd be the ultimate one, is controlling what you can do instead of just a light shooting through and going into multi-universes. But now you can control the light in which direction of the prism you want to send that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I love the idea. Have you ever had any instance where maybe you phased into, like maybe James described, another and met, you found yourself, you were you, but the things around you weren't the reality you recognized? Ever had something like that happen, kind of shocked out of yourself for a second into another self or another something? Ever had anything like that happen?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that one story I was telling about. Told you guys about that strange dream I had for a year straight, where it was me, but it wasn't. Like, it was in a different planet. Like, you know what I mean? Like the things I was mentioning, or the shapes of buildings, the color of the buildings. Actually, it was more vibrant. The browns, though, were more dull. It was strange, it was. But it I don't know even if it was even a dream, but it was something that I had almost every night. The same dream over and over, or the same vision. Yeah, so I could say that it was, but like when people say they astral project, I'm pretty sure, just like, this Robert was saying, is that, I'm pretty sure everybody has at some point, it could be like you was a kid and messing around with the light and got shocked, or you fell out of a tree or something and you astral project, or, it could be where, some people have the ability to do so without any, really even trying, or even being a master, in like meditation or whatnot, where you can, or, cause that's just like the things that Toss talks about, where, you're kind of doing that, astral project. But he was moving throughout not only through this planet, but throughout the universe. So it's controlling, and it's just like with, Buddhism and, Hinduism, even like Zoroastrianism, they always talk, they kind of talk about, moving through, the universe, not just yourself. But I don't see, this is where I'm saying is like, it's kind of hard to say that, like I said, okay, we'll just call it a soul. So if your soul, is, you're experiencing you, and like what Jennifer was saying, the UI thing, you're experiencing you. So how are you going to be experiencing, that energy source being split into multi-universes at the same time, whether it be infinity or just a certain amount, like maybe, let's say there's only 12 different universes or multiverses that are you can't experience at the same time. Let's just give it a certain number, but it's kind of hard to see that. And that's why I kind of go to the prism thing, because it's going to be shooting out in different directions. So how are you doing you? That's a big thing to be thinking about. That's the ones that kind of give you headaches about thinking about, because if you're really experiencing 12 different things at one time, is it you're really experiencing 12 different things at one time? Or is it that you're just passing through, those 12 experiences. You know, I don't know. It's
Right.
kind of weird, man.
Yeah, it's wild that it's like the chicken and the egg thing, right? Also, which one came first? Does it matter? Like Jennifer was describing, if she's, passed away in some instances, being born in some others, is time, how does time fit into that, right? Because we're talking about time space as a thing. So like different gravity signatures, does it matter? There's a whole lot of shit to like throw out there and say, all right, well, I don't know, man. You know me. I don't know. I wish I knew, but I have no idea. Pretty wild stuff. What else you got? What else you got for us?
Oh man, that was it. I was just, I don't know. I had a couple things I was thinking about throughout space. Though it was going on, just some more launchings going on. Everything. I don't know, man. It just irritates me to think that. That's the same thing that everybody just keeps launching into space, But yeah, also the whole thing with the SSI, I don't know, they said Russia, was trying to blow up a satellite, which they did. I mean, that's the whole another thing too, it's like everybody was, on a space station, they said they took cover. I think it's just another ploy, too, because they always want to talk about replacing that thing. So I just think maybe it's, they're just giving stories up to me, like, to get something else built in space,
Yeah, well, as always, right? Propaganda to get the things they need. That seems right. That seems straight. It tracks 100%.
Man, like, they have now with, like, Michael Strahan, he went to space, right? And, on Blue Horizon, I believe it was. And, you would think, like, looking at those windows, those big giant windows they're looking at, if that's the case, or they're saying all these low orbit, satellites and whatnot, and whatever happened with Russia, and you would think you could be able to see that shit flying around everywhere. If that's the case, I mean, you don't really see any of that. You don't, they're not really worried about that. They wasn't worried about sending that shit up to space. All this, all this debris supposedly everywhere, and that's the thing too. They're saying that everything's in low Earth orbit. Then there's some that some satellites that they have is going to be, they need to be backed off a little bit because they're the ones that are more maneuverable. They can move around, for like secret shit. But most stuff is low Earth orbit, and they're also saying like the SSI is in the same, right? So which is it? Is it that not all that shit can be up there with that big ass thing flying around space? To me, I don't know, man. It's just hard for me to understand that shit too, because I don't believe that shit in it. That there's that many. I really don't. I really don't believe there's that many satellites up there around the space junk. That they kind of give like an artist view of like the, it's all cluttered and like looks like garbage flying around us.
Yeah, that's and again, just so you guys know, for reference here, for cross reference and what he's talking about, Kelly is an amateur astronomer. He's got some good equipment. He's taken some pretty nice shots of the moon and some other things, and so he's out there looking with telescopes. He's not just saying this. He's saying that if it was out there, you should be able to fire up a telescope and just see this stuff like crazy, and you can't. He's brought this up before. Amazing stuff, Kelly. Very, very good. What else you got? As you know, we're winding down, but we got time for you, my friend.
I don't know, man. There was just been what was it? There was, I don't know, man. Like, there's a few things out in the news that are like with space and stuff. I kind of, I don't know, man. This whole, I kind of track some these new UFO videos and stuff where they are all about filters. Some actually pretty amazing shit that's been out there, but I don't know, man. For me, it's again, I look at the planet sometimes, what's going on. Another thing too is like the weather. I just want to kind of briefly go over that. It was just, I have different theories on why people would call, let's say they call it with the Earth heating up. Everybody wants to dump money into that shit. But for me, I don't think it's global warming. I believe that it's the poles are shifting. There's always there's scientific proof for that it's the magnetic poles are shifting, and when that's happening, that's going to mean that like seasons they're going to change. For me, it's like living here, it seems to be where winter starts later, or even like more towards January. We're starting to get winter there, and it lasts longer, more into like July, and it's just the seasons are just moving more over a couple more months. And the fact that, the weather pattern, the volcanoes that are opening, reawakening, that's been dormant for thousands of years. Yeah, me and Michelle was talking about this earlier where, I always bring up to where the oceans were receding from Florida to off the Bahamas shores. And it was miles. So I was thinking, okay, from, Florida to the Bahamas, what's the actual distance to that? And it's like 300 and some miles from Florida to the Bahamas, right? So you're saying like those camera views, I went into there again for taking video of it, and and this was on the Bahamas, right? And you can't see, there's no oceans. You can't even see as far as the eye can see. Now from the Bahamas to Florida is 313 miles. Now are they saying that, and the news was trying to say that it was Emma, a hurricane that sucked all that ocean water out. And I would call bullshit flag on that one, too, because that's the first time I've ever heard of oceans pulling back like that every year, because we have hurricanes every year. They never have anything like that. But you had, for some reason, in those couple years, you had oceans, like, receding hundreds of miles, or you can even see that past your eye vision. I want to kind of just talk about real quick is just how I believe that there might be, I don't know, like if Planet X, or they want to call it Nibiru. I think it's entering slowly on the outside of our solar system. Like I try to do calculations on the stars and stuff, or they were talking about, and it's a 3,600 year revolution now. If you're talking about a complete age of the cycles of, like Taurus and the whole, but the great age is, each age is like 2,000 years. The great age is about just under that. So you're talking about 10,000 years. But my calculations from that was either about 500 years or right on top. And I don't know, man. For me, the weather patterns and just the Earth, of the changes that's going on, man, I don't know. Sometimes I believe that maybe something is pulling on this planet. Not only that, besides, you look at the other planets itself, how they're lighting up, with their, their like type of realis that's on their surface of their planets or their atmospheres. Kind of, I don't know, man. It's kind of due telling to me. I just kind of keep an eye on that and how, that, they want to project, like, the mainstream media, how they want to try to project some of that. I look at it a little bit more different because, man, there's some weird changes going on. And that volcano they were expecting to stop, and that went over in Italy. It's still going, and it's been for quite some time, man.
All kinds of weird shit happening, man. That's why we do this, get together and talk about stuff, because as you know, right, I don't know what's going on where you're at. You don't know what's going on where I'm at, because you can't trust any of the crap they're trying to tell us. So we talk to each other, and that's power. Amazing stuff as always, Kelly. You're the best. You are the absolute best. So you're going to say maybe astral travel and all that? Drink some maybe juice? Maybe?
Oh, I believe in that, astral projection and stuff like that. Multi-universes, that was difficult for me. Yeah, I mean, like, I've done it, but I've also do, deep meditation too, and I danced around I would say the spectrum of our planet, what we've known as, but, to go into, like, away from your body, kind of like what Robert was saying, not so much as in his version, but, that even with Top, they talk about it, he says if you're, was to bounce around the universe, there's these hounds, they call them hounds of hell. But he's call it the hounds, or like he explains it as more of like they're guardians to different gates, realms of the universe. And if they hear you coming, because they can hear you, I don't know, give some kind of a smell or whatever, because they call them literally. He says they sound like a hound, like a dog. But if you hear them to get to your body, but you know, if you're a distance from your body, how you would get there would be through like you try to do a circle pattern. You know, don't try to go straight to your body, because they will. He says they'll catch you. You know, they'll reach you faster because they move in angles. He speaks of like they move in angles, different angles within the universe of time and space. You need to go in circles in a certain direction, like different, you know, like if someone was chasing you, you know, you don't want to do a straight shot. You want to kind of, you know, get them off your tail. But yeah, he says, you know, it's like going to your body. So if you actually project and you're going, you happen to hear something like that, I would just kind of, you know, pay attention to that. And, I don't know, you have to be careful trying to, you know, doing that type stuff as well.
Yeah, be careful. Right on. Thanks a lot, Kelly. Appreciate it. You too, bro. You cut out there, but I think you said have a good night. Great shit as always. Okay, I don't know. He's still there. He's still there visually, but I can't hear him. All right, so appreciate that. Good stuff from Kelly. That's Kelly in Colorado. He's been with the show for a very long time. As far as I can remember, he was the very first caller we ever had, and has been with us for literally years now. So fantastic stuff. Thank you, my friend. And let's do our thing. We're still talking about this weirdness. Actually, we're done. We're done. We can finish, but before we finish, we got one more take. And the one more take is, of course, you guys know how this goes, the famous J-Tro. But before that, let's hear from Jay and what his take is on this, the multiverse and all the rest of this stuff. What's up, Jay in New York? Welcome to the show. How are you, my man?
I'm great, Mike. Well, a long day got ended with an unbelievably beautiful conversation. That was awesome. You know, Kelly, I would kind of hope he's still here a little bit, because the thoughts that he had, you know. I just, doesn't everyone have that time in their life? Is like, I think Robert was saying, is like you step out into the street to make it in front of the car, or do you not? Do you have those premonitions in your life that, how is this going to go? Is that guy's late for work, really late for work, and he wants to cut a giant hole in the building, and everybody else is like, no, we're not doing it that day. It's stupid. The ideas that we have all the time, are we actually drawing on that energy from all of the other people in our multiverse? You know, I haven't seen the new Spider-Man movie yet, but I've seen a lot of trailers. I don't know what they call them now. Spoilers, whatever.
Trailers. Yeah, you got it.
But he's the same guy throughout all of those universes. He has that same integrity, he has that same knowledge, and that if it's something that's good and you're doing something that's good, wouldn't it be better if all of your alternate personalities were doing that same kind of good, whatever it may be? Teacher, firefighter, superhero, Luke Skywalker, Yoda. I mean, if you had the energy of all those people and all of your multiverses and stuff like that, and you could work with them together, not necessarily have a conversation like, if I ever call in and don't have a quote, you know it's the guy from the other universe. But
there you go. So they downloaded the wrong J to the wrong place.
Wait a minute, man. That's just not right.
That's not right. That's not the right J. This is bullshit. I demand a recount.
It's a glitch in the Matrix. I knew it all along.
Yeah,
I knew it.
I think all that plays into this too. That whole the fact that there's a possibly that whole Matrix situation, right, with like the simulation. Because if this is the case, we're talking about multiple realities. Wouldn't it be like multiple levels in a video game? Wouldn't it be something like that? It would seem like, wouldn't it? Huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, think about it. I mean, you're old enough to remember that when somebody else made it to a level on a video game, they just gave you the cheat code to bring you back. There was no save in the game, but once you got to a certain level on it, you wrote down that X, Y, 0, 0, left, right. And
select start.
You automatically started at 11. Yeah. And then you automatically started at level 42.
Right. Yep. You know, the good old days when the game states didn't save and you had to put in a code to get back to where you were. The good old days. Oh shit.
Galactica.
Yeah.
Or no, it wasn't. It was Gauntlet.
Gauntlet. That was a great game too.
At the arcade. So you were like paying a 25 cents a try.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Code.
I remember Gauntlet in the arcade, and it was so good. Night Stalker says, another J is stealing your quote, there's only so many J-Tros in one multiverse. There it is. There it is.
I actually stole the one that I picked out 3 days ago from somebody in the Discord.
Oh, did you?
Someone posted in the show chat in Discord, and I saw that. I was like, oh, wow. I'm going to use that the next time I have the opportunity.
Nice. Okay. So actually, hang on to that for just one moment, unless you have any more. Of course, continue with what your thoughts are. We're not going to do the J-Tro just yet, if you're okay with that, because it looks like we got Rohan on deck as well. He just popped in here, so let's say hi to Rohan real quick. But let's finish your thoughts. I don't want to cut you short here.
Oh, I'm just thinking, here we go.
Here we go. All right.
To quote the Night Stalker, where we're going, we don't need rails.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, 100%. Okay, that needs to be a shirt as well. So many good T-shirt ideas. All right, so let's do it. So hang tight, Jay. We'll get to the J-Tro and back to you in just a moment. Let's go to our good buddy Rohan, the mighty Rohan, the famous Liam Martin with the podcast called Exiled Minds. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. How are you?
What's up, bro? How's it going? Hear me okay?
Loud and clear. Loud and clear. Sounds great, man. Go right ahead. What are your thoughts on this multiverse?
Oh, no, mate. You sound great.
No, I know. I know. I spent 3.5 years trying to sound great. So this I know. This is this is iteration multiverse style number 275 to get to this point to where it sounds like it does now. Go back to the very first one.
Neck.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Doing that Doctor Strange stuff.
Something. Go back to the very first show. It's on the podcast feed, and you'll hear. Sounds like we're broadcasting from a rainy trash can in the Bronx in some dark alleyway. but anyway, go right ahead, sir. What are your thoughts on the multiverse?
Total Secret Mike. That was the first thing I did check your first show. But anyway, multiverse.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, multiverse, man. Well, I suppose when we hear Jay say, "Well, hey, I'm just a Glazier," we know we've got the wrong guy, right?
Yeah, exactly. The day, yeah, we're on to you, Jay. We're definitely on to you.
But yeah, on this one, so I only caught the last bit of the show. I've been asleep, went to sleep, but woke up caught last hour, so I was catching up on it. But then it reminded me of about this multiverse stuff and Robert called. And I thought, oh yeah, all happening at the same time. You hear that a lot, don't you? And I remember this in my misspent youth. There was, you do stupid stuff as a youth, don't you? Involved with drinking and things like that. And anyway, done one of them, and I ended up passed out for a few seconds. Right, I played this stupid game, and somebody gave me a beer hug and whatnot. So I was passed out for a few seconds on the floor. Right, and I really got my mates to confirm over time, how long was it? Because they said about 3 or 4 seconds, momentarily knocked out. I actually experienced a whole day as someone else. Do you know what I mean? And I then got a vague memory of that. I was some guy working at some paper mill in Boston years ago, in days where it was all cobblestones and there was a dock. And it had ships there with crates that they winched on with, rope nets and that. Do you know what I mean? And I just went about my day, and I was just this sort of guy straight away. I was just this guy to work. Oh, I've got to go to work, Do you know Do you know what I mean? And then when I went to bed, get this, it gets worse, man. I goes to bed, there's this dude in Boston, in like, you know, God knows when, 17, whatever. And I wakes up as a lady in like somewhere else in England, like called Mary or something. Do you know what I mean? So I go about my day as like this chick, and then I goes to bed as her, and then I wake up as somebody else, and it just keeps happening over and over again. Every time I wake up, I'm a different person with a different story. And it just happened like hundreds and hundreds of times. Do you know what I mean? But the processing of it was you only got half the amount of time to process it each time. So you can imagine, like 24 hours first day, then 12 hours, then 6 hours, then 3 hours. Do you know what I mean? So after a while, it's just a blur. But you can sense. And I thought, are they past lives? Because if there are, I've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. Or is it all simultaneous lives where there's hundreds of me? I don't know, it's crazy.
Oh shit! Oh, so you tapped into it. So, was there something that triggered this? What caused this? Was it just?
Well, I think no one random at all. No, I was probably no. I think it was copious amounts of cannabinoids and THC, copious pushed in at once, and slight bit of oxygen deprivation, all them together. Boom. But at the same time, there's a little monkey wrench to throw in there. Talking to Daryl yesterday, just off cuff, about when I was a kid, my clothes all used to be damp. And in that conversation, it was like, maybe you had Morgellons. Do you know what I mean? So maybe, like, I don't know, maybe stuff's gone on to make me tuned for this somewhere. So 10 years later, when I discover, you know what I mean, cannabis, I don't know. You don't know, do you? It's weird, isn't it?
Do you still partake?
Not like that. No, now and again. Yeah, I'm a smoker of like medicinal, medical stuff. I don't smoke a lot, but then it was like, you know, when you're like 18, 19, it was like it was almost like a challenge because I had big lung capacity as well. So it was like a challenge, like how can we, you know, fuck this guy up, sort of thing.
Exactly. Let's see how much this meat suit can take.
It take a lot, turns out.
Challenge accepted.
That's what it was like. You know, it's like guys and that. You know, you kind of have to do it. It's part of your initiation into becoming a man, isn't it?
Yeah, right. you got to do a bunch of stupid stuff for sure. So then what happened? So as these lives kind of seemed to these lives were flashing before your eyes in small chunks. What happened? You said it got faster and faster, became a big blur.
Yeah, so it gets...
Did you pass out?
Yeah, so it gets a big blur.
What made it stop?
Well, waking up in this world is what made it stop. It was like getting faster and faster and faster, like getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and then popped out into this world.
Welcome. Welcome.
You know what I'm saying?
To this version of reality.
Hi. Nice to be here. Yeah, maybe I'm on a different one. Nice. Maybe I'm on a different one from the one I was in then. Holy crap.
That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild. And so...
the fascinating thing I found, the most compelling thing, is it was such a moving experience. I was instantly not stoned anymore and super excited, you know, as if on something else. Like, excited like Christmas to tell my friends about this incredible discovery I'd made. I think it's before I'd gone nuts, like, you know. But it was what was so compelling about it, the point I like to make with this story is that I didn't change at all. I didn't change. It was me. It was Rohan. As that guy in Boston. Exactly the same. You're untouched. It's the same guy. So you imagine if I wake up thinking you're Michael and you're just some dude doing, yeah, okay. And like we was talking about
Alvin or something, and I look different.
yeah. But you still know about Michael, and you're like, well, what's this Michael guy? But some of that memories have fell away. Like Jennifer, like we've said before in the call, some of your memories kind of disappear. So then you start to doubt which one was real. So you think, well, Michael must have been a dream, right?
Oh shit!
But then you wake up as like, you know, Patricia, and you're like, well, is Michael a dream? And after about 6 or 7 of them, you're like, you give up on your identity. Like, who am I? I don't fucking know. You know, forget it. You know, you can't pin it. Do you know what I'm saying? So you just have to kind of go with the road. It's like,
that's wild. That's wild. And you popped out. Boom. You were in. Nobody says put Philip K. Dick on your reading list, Rohan. Philip K. Dick's amazing, and I'm sure you probably read some of that. But yeah, that's wild. That is wild. Amazing stuff as always, man. What else you got? This multiverse theory. Do you think there's something to this? It sounds like, actually, from that experience, that you're going to say, yeah. Am I wrong there?
No, I think because for me, it's almost like, well, we don't know, do we? So that's the best I've got. With an experience like that, which I suppose is pretty unique, but with an experience like that, I've got to say yes, and I have to, it's like...
Yeah. Well, let's drink a little more maybe juice and say sure. Sure, let's do it.
And I lean a bit more, like say the maybe juice. I don't like to say I 100% believe something as much as so I don't get locked in. But I do lean more into the belief on this one because it's because of the experience and because there's some stuff with we study this stuff, don't we? We do our reading, stuff in the consciousness and science is in some aspects science is having to catch up with this kind of stuff because unfortunately if you ain't got measurement tools for it, the science has to kind of say what it don't exist in our measurement. Do you know what I mean? And then gradually go automate. It takes a while. It goes dogmas and that. But yeah, we're getting there with this stuff, and I think with a lot of this science, I like particle physics talk. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Don't worry about the quantum mechanics, man. Don't sweat that shit. Let it handle itself.
Yeah, that's it. Well, that's the thing. I've heard this. Have you ever heard this? If you don't understand quantum mechanics, you've got no idea how it works, then how much does it affect your reality? Right?
Yeah, well, if a lot, I think a lot, and I think there's a whole lot there. That's a whole nother can of worms. But yeah, man, yeah. Like I said, don't sweat the quantum shit. Let it work itself out. Totally good.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Totally good. That's what I think as well. We can agree 100% on that point. All right, so anything else, and we can go to Jay and get his take on that. What's up, brother?
No, it's just that. So I get on the J show. Just one thing though. When you say Yoda, I say Yoda.
All right, Yoda. All right, perfect. Sounds good to me. Jay, let's go to Jay. Thank you, Rohan. Great shit. He has a podcast called Exile. Exiled Minds podcast. Scroll down, links in the description. Give Rohan some love. Follow him on YouTube. Follow and download his podcast. Check it out. As you hear, brilliant dude. Had some amazing experiences. Hopefully, you tell that story on the podcast in full. Love to hear some of those iterations of those maybe flipping through a deck of cards each as a life. that's wild. Good shit. Give some love to our good buddy Liam Martin, the mighty Rohan. Appreciate it, appreciate it, my friend. I tried to say friend and bro at the same time. It came out fro. Appreciate it, Frodo. Appreciate it, Frodo. All right, Frodo, sit down. Let's go to Jay.
Frodo, that's awesome.
What's up, Jay?
Frodo, it was a pleasure listening to you talk tonight. That's awesome. I got to talk to Frodo. But, really, look at the little experiences that you have in your day-to-day life. You see the little girl walking across the street or the ball bouncing across the street and you hit the brakes. If you weren't paying attention and you're playing on your phone or driving through the multiverse or the meta or whatever it is, and you just don't realize things like that. No one looks at what's going around them now. And we're in all these other things. We're missing that age of Aquarius that we're coming into. Kelly brought it up with Nibiru and stuff like that. We are going through an astrological plane that was in a gigantic orbit the same time that dinosaurs went extinct. This is just really crazy things that we know science-wise, that unless all of us talk to each other, and, I saw this little thing today, or I saw this little thing today, the things that Daryl brings up. It's just a reason to join the Discord and hop into the after hours chat because the show is over, right? I'm sorry, I'm keeping you late. I could rattle on to you guys for 100 years.
You're good, bro. So most nights we get together and hang out in the Discord. That's what he's talking about. So if you guys want to come join us, please do. It is a cordial conversation like this. Everybody respects each other. Even you're allowed to believe what you want. This isn't church, like I always say. This isn't propaganda. I'm not a demagogue. We're just hanging out and trying to respect each other's opinions and learn from each other because each individual experience is worth something. And if we share those directly with each other, becomes worth quite a bit more. That's my opinion, and that's why we do this. And let's do it. Let's smash the J-tro, my friend. Let me get this out of here and give you some music, and let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get to it, shall we? Shall we? Let's do a little bit of this. Wait for the beat to drop. Wait for the beat to drop. Jatro coming at you. The bad news is we're done. The good news is, God willing, we have tomorrow. Jatro coming up.
I stole this from Lily.
Perfect. Shout out to Lily. Wait for the beat to drop.
There it is. Enter through the narrow gate, for the gate is wide, and the broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate, and narrow is the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. And that's Matthew. I can't really read it, but I think it's 7 through 13, 14.
Nice.
Just
nice.
in case anybody wants to look it up.
Love it. Fantastic stuff. A great way to kick this out. And narrow is the road. And, well, we're going to keep on doing what we do. You guys know the drill. Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. Troubled Minds coming at you. We're done. Today we're done. This is the bad news. The good news is, God willing, we got tomorrow. So we'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. More Troubled Minds on the way. We're going to talk about the moon tomorrow. We talked about the moon about 10 days ago, 12 days ago, about that mysterious thing on the dark side of the moon. I got another wild one for you, even more wild than that. So see you guys tomorrow, and there we go. We'll have more on the way. Thanks again to everybody that's been part of this. You guys know who you are. All the amazing calls tonight. I can't list everybody because I'll inevitably leave somebody out. I'm not going to do that. Thank you. You guys know who you are. Thank you, Jay, for the Jatro and coming prepared for that. Appreciate that very much. And, well, if you want to help the show, you know what to do. You know what to do. Spread the word. Let somebody know there's a conversation going on there. It's just not like you normally would hear. And that's okay. It's okay to be a little different. And in this case, different to me is let's respect each other. Let's not get bogged down in the media garbage of flinging poo. Let's not do it. We don't have to hate each other because of our differences. We can embrace each other because of our differences and help each other as a result. That's what this is all about. So as we finish, you know how this goes. A little something like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. Let it rip, boys.
Skinwalker.
We totally get worse and worse at that every damn time. How's it we get worse at something when we practice so often?
It's wet chihuahuas, damn it.
Because we're in the upside down.
The upside down.
The dogs got sprayed by a skunk last weekend, man. They're bogged down. They can't even stand the smell of themselves. Whoa.
Can't blame them. Can't blame them. All right, guys. We will be in the Discord chat hanging out. If you want to come join us, come hang out. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. Catch you guys tomorrow. Have a fantastic night.